And that's important for this game, is the winner of this goes through to the grand final and guarantees themselves first or second. So the minimum they can get, as Fresh explained, is then 150 if they lose the grand final and finish second place, which of course they'll be aiming to get the first place, but it guarantees them 150. Whoever loses this can only then get into third, fourth place, fifth place, possibly. They need to go and get another win to get themselves into the grand final. So it puts them on the back foot in terms of SI points. Whoever gets this locks in at least another 100 SI points. So it's a really big matchup for these two. Really, really. You know, we don't need to go back too far to see what was the old BDS roster missing out by a lot less than 100 points on SI.
I think they'll remember that for a while, and so will many of us, Tim. The big one for me in this series, and what I'm really excited about, these two teams in particular facing down, they are two of our best attacking teams around the world right now. At least here in EML, they are our top two. G2, 62.7% attacking win rate, which is a terrifying stat to have. The Secret aren't far behind at 59.4%. Interestingly, Secret are one of those very few teams, in fact they both are, where their attacking success is better than their defensive success. That is not something that you see very often, but that's what we've been treated to here, and where G2 was saying, where Alama in particular was saying, you know, bit of chaos against Secret is expected, so we'd rather face off against Falcons. I think he's going to get exactly what he was afraid of, and it is going to be a lot of chaos to kick things off. Our bans coming through, and the one that I want to draw your eyes to, Tim, you know, shield bans are going to make sense for everyone, attack or defense. That mute ban is the interesting one for me coming out of G2. Rook is trying to deny away that intel denial, making sure they've got plenty of chance to get their own. But you get spawn peaks admittedly, but you're going to find nothing here as the players have already passed on by.
Savage might just go for a little run out here. He sees his man. Going to take a lot of damage, actually. Down about 50 HP. Doesn't manage to deal any in return until he does. Just takes Doki with a little dip. Just drops his knees a little bit. Finds the head. Takes Doki down. That's a big loss. That's the Ying off the board in 20 seconds. It's a tough one for G2 to stomach. They're going to have to find another way to get this done. They were looking for a CEO window plant. I would put money on it, given that they've got the Amaru, the Grim, the Deimos, the Ying. Everything was there to try and plant on that CEO window, but they've just lost a huge part of that puzzle.
Turkey really got suckered in there, and I think didn't expect to see the double back, but they've already said about how aggressive the Secret side can be, and they can pay the price for that. Tried to get a plan down here, but a smoke has come out as Loira, normally doing the role that you see a Buck playing for this site, is instead on that Deimos. Of course, still lots of vertical destructibility in that kit, but it's more about the ability to track down players who could be inside of the room as the execute comes on through. Key one, of course, here being, Tim, is that the smoke is now down, so you're looking towards the C4 from Mogi instead to stop this if it comes down to it.
Secret really need to get the kill onto the Deimos here, because Loira is the one preventing them from going underneath and stopping this plant going down. They're so reliant on the Toxic Babe canisters at the minute, and all they're going to do, G2, is bounce in and out of that window. That's a really essential kill from Secret, because it's going to allow them to drop the hatch. You see it happen there straight away. In the end, it's not needed, because Nitro's come out, kills galore go down, and Secret managed to get the round. But that was a really good defense from Secret, even without that final flourish. Getting the kill onto Loira underneath, dropping the hatch immediately. They knew exactly what G2 were trying to do, and they knew what they needed to do to stop it. Really well played from Secret.
For sure. I think Doki, you saw his reaction at the end of that round there. He knew that really a lot of that was on him. They needed to have the Candelas. They needed the gadgetry to get the job done there. It was always going to be a limp effort, and that's exactly what we saw build up for G2. But Secret, as the devs were saying, definitely looking warm there in round one. Weren't dealing with any of G2's monkey business. They were ready for basically everything there, it felt. And it's one thing that they spoke about. I do want to touch on a bit more, that piece around the tiredness of G2. I think we've all been there, where you've had a really exciting couple of hours in your day. You get home and you're just absolutely knackered. You're just ready to have a little nap for it. Maybe not the youth of today, but I think us especially, Tim. You're absolutely knackered at midpoint in the afternoon. You need a little nap or something. You need to pick me up. You know, you've got something going on in the evening, some kind of family function or something. I imagine G2 are feeling like that a little bit right now. It might be a quiet few rounds. They have to readjust and get themselves back into the game again. I think at this level, with the way they've played so far throughout the stage, they're not going to be the kind of team to get shaken by having a 3-map break in the middle. Like, that's not the end of the world, but you might see it takes them a few rounds to get warmed up, and that could be the difference between a win or a loss on this first map.
Yeah, it definitely could. And, you know, coming in, I commented on how I feel G2 have kind of won that map ban a little bit. They've got themselves two really strong maps for them to begin with, Conceal and Chalet, and so Secret have got their work cut out. But how do Secret make it a close game? How do they make it tough for G2? They come in like this, and they show that they can play those maps too, but they win rounds quickly. They back-to-back, don't let G2 get into the game. Secret, if they could go for a full 3-round sweep here on the defense, get themselves a solid advantage, then any quote-unquote winning that G2 might have done in the ban phase goes out of the window. But Blaz, we've spoken about him on the desk earlier on tonight and how he has been so consistent for this G2 side. Comes in with a big entry kill when they need it. That's Mowgli off the board.
I do want to touch on Mowgli because there was a stat that was very interesting today, and that was like the difference for players on their attacking and the defensive side. And one of the things we were looking into was Mowgli. Like, Mowgli is one of the, I think as we all know, most aggressive players around the world, and I was very, very curious to see what he was like when it came to attack versus defense. And interestingly, he's got the highest attacker kill percentage of any player in T1 at 62%, but his defensive kill rate is not particularly good. It's pretty low down there so far, and it's the same for his entry. You'll find him getting picked up a lot by G2, I think, throughout this. And the problem then, Tim, is it leads to this kind of onslaught of kills as they fall like dominoes, and G2 just pick them up one after another without barely so much of a challenge. And I do think a lot of that is going to come down to the entry battle today. It will be a swap when we see Secret get on the attack, and that's where Mowgli really starts to shine. But I worry that on the defense here, once G2 get into their groove, it's going to be hard to stop them.
Great start that we've had to this game. As I said, I feel like G2 have the advantage in maps, but as Leo said, Secret have a little bit of an advantage coming in hot, so to speak, off the back of that big game they've just won against Falcons. And I think we're starting to see those two things cancel each other out, which is kind of what I was hoping, because it's going to lead to a really close game. And asked if we might have overtimes. Well, if they carry on like this, we could definitely see a few more than the regulation rounds. We're only 2 in so far, but it's been a really dominant round in either direction. I like what G2 did there. They didn't really pay attention to the main breach. They got themselves in the map, and you saw that Savage got the kill onto, I think it was Lyra at bottom of Visa stairs, but then it was just G2 because they had the information. Savage is off site. There was only 3 of Secret left alive at that point, so they know there's maximum 2 on site. So the rest of the G2 players just started flooding in looking for kills. They had the advantage and they took it. It was a good opportunity spot, and they went in, got the job done. Good round from G2, and it's 1-1.
I saw that Freck made a comment, by the way, when he saw this thing on my nose. It was just like, you're trying to be me, you're not me.
Bro like thinks he's on the team.
Bro thinks he's on the team. I am not Freck. I probably having that conversation there, or seeing that message come through, must be how you felt sat next to Stomping, being like, yeah. I'm in the presence of greatness.
When he said, I said, how's the switch gone to keyboard device? He was like, oh, it was pretty bad to begin with. I thought you hadn't seen my ranked games, mate. I mean, you were really good.
Mate, game 1 is eclipsed the combination of me, you, and probably half of the talent roster in 5 seconds. I'm not even going to worry about entertaining him beyond those first 5 seconds, because he's definitely going to be up there. But onwards we march, shotgun at the ready, in comes Lyra, shotgun out, and Noah, who cares about your smoke, my friend, is charging on through. Taking down the one for himself already, and G2 showing that aggression here. Inside those first 60 seconds, have found themselves 2 kills, and Secret struggling to deal with the pressure as Lyra is a one-man army, Tim. He's got 3K by himself with a Ying shotgun to get things started.
He's been great throughout his tenure with G2, but he just seems to get better and better, does Lyra. He reacts so well to pressure, delivers in the big moments. He's continuing to do that here against Secret. A good start to the round again for G2. Savage it is, just as it was last time, who manages to give Secret a little bit of hope. Gets that kill onto Blaz. It was Lyra last time around, but it is still a 2v4 and a lot of work to do. Secret do still have the vertical hold for the time being, although I think, no, they've been pushed away now, so G2 are going to take control of that. Interestingly, Doom on the pulse down in basement. He's the one to watch. He's going to be there with that nitro, although I don't know if it's been pre-placed or detonated, but he certainly doesn't have it available. He's going to be reliant on the gun, shooting through the floor to stop any plant attempt.
It would require something really magical here for the boys to turn it around. Yes, they've got the information to play behind. Yes, they've got the single C4, but you're asking an awful lot, especially when G2 have been playing the way that they are so far. I think pretty fair to say, Tim, across those last couple of rounds, we've shown all right then. It's not a few rounds to sleep for G2. It was 1 round, and now they are wide awake. Not doing any more nonsense, and they've really come out swinging these last 2 rounds. Secret is going to be a rough ride throughout the rest of this first half, I think, unless G2 really bottle this now.
I agree, and Secret needs to be careful about letting things get away from them here, because you know that G2 are good on consulate, and you know they're going to be really good on the defense, so they need to be getting as many rounds as they can. Lyra is going to secure the plant. No idea that it was going down. Nothing that a pulse shotgun will do now for you, Doom. It is too little too late. You're going to have to work your way back upstairs and fight into this one. Savage is low health as well. This should be routine for G2 to close out.
Yeah, absolutely should. They're doubled up on the doorway. They're ready for the push to come on through. They're giving them nothing, and of course they're not going to wait. A shotgun to yellow stairs. Not even giving Secret a chance to breathe, let alone take the gunfight there. Done the dominant round. 2-1 up.
Yeah, great stuff from G2. Really dominant attack. And this is, you know, it's the last time I'll mention it. This was my concern with the map ban. G2 are very, very good on consulate. They're having, and they're, as you said, there's a great attacking team at the minute as well. One of the best in EML. So they're having a fantastic start here on consulate, and it might just knock the wind out of the sails of Secret. They've come in here really strong on the back of a good result, but I don't want to sort of talk Falcons down, but it wasn't an overly difficult game for them. And they've come in here. Falcons didn't really show up. They didn't show us their best. And now they're getting body blows. They're getting knockout punches coming in from G2. And all of a sudden, they're in a real match here. They're in, you know, something where they are being not run over yet, but they need to be very careful they don't allow that to happen. Tack timeout coming in now to allow Twister to get involved, I think is probably a good shout to try and put the brakes on this, because G2 on consulate, they've got a real chance of just running away with things.
Exactly what they're doing so far. A few crap ribs there from those heavy blows coming in from G2. It's why the tack timeout they're hoping will help them get things back on track. I do want to touch on this nose thing, by the way, Tim. It is great. You should get one. To do it. Honestly, mate, I absolutely love it. You want to know what the real reason why I got one? I don't think I'm on the team.
I know I'm not on the team, Des.
You want to know why I got one? It's because if I didn't have them, I was probably sleeping on the couch the next week.
I'm expecting next week for you to be in a team jersey. I'm expecting next
BDS. I'll tell you what, those jerseys are sick though. I'll take one from BDS if I can be on the team. Come on, get me in.
This is it, Frank. He's already been in touch. You know, he's already had his say on the nose strip. You know, maybe we can get involved. Maybe get you on the team.
I'll be the sub. You'll never call on me. It's like, oh, fifth player's ill, we need a sub. Oh, we ain't got a sub. Sorry, I'll be on the roster, but I ain't playing. You can get stuff. But my whole reason for getting them, actually, prior to a few weeks ago, before we started seeing them everywhere, I was the one who set the trail, that's what I'm going to say, was I snore a lot during my swim. And I thought to my missus, you know what, I probably owe you something here, else I'm getting kicked down to the sofa. And it does work, because the last 2 nights I haven't had one on, she's been like, I seriously want to throw you out of bed. I was sick and tired of you snoring. I was like, right, okay then. But it's also great during the day because, yes, it does make breathing a hell of a lot easier. I enjoy it.
I mean, maybe it's something you've got to experience, Des. Maybe, you know, I'm sure it's something you've got to experience.
I'll bring one to our next event and you can try one with me.
I'd love to.
That's what we're trying to say. We're trying nose strips.
In my head, I'm just thinking, you said it makes it really easy to breathe. I can't think any time where I've sat there and thought, oh, I'm really struggling to breathe. It just happens pretty naturally for me, but maybe I need to experience easier breathing and then I'll know.
Exactly. You just don't understand, Tim. Just admit it. You don't understand. It's fine. Hopefully Secret can understand the way back into this game. They've had that attack timeout and have really got to get going now. You've had that conversation. You had a little bit of a breather, but G2 are not going to want to let off the pressure here. They are the ones really starting to cook. Here we go then with ourselves. Blaz up on the window, dodging away from the C4 at the same time. Does Grimbees rain on through, and here we go. Savage getting the entry to Doki. That's the kind of thing you're looking for.
And second as well. This is exactly the response that Twister will have been looking for out of Secret. After that tack timeout, come out and send a message to G2. They're still here, still fighting. This is, again, though, 4th round. It's their first choice site. They've taken the Deimos away, which Lyra used to good effect last time around when attacking CEO. So Secret have responded well, is, you know, what I'm trying to say there. They've adapted to, you know, maybe they've won the round, but what worked for G2? What didn't work? How can we make it even more difficult for them? But round 5 and 6, they are, I think, more the focal point.
Yeah, I think at this point they're showing they can fight back. I'm waiting to see where the sort of equilibrium sits out between these two teams as well. Who does maintain the advantage? In this round, at least, it is Secret. It brings up to 2 apiece. Round 5 is then going to be a very, very interesting pace setter, at least for the next couple of rounds, until we get into that next half. Stomping in Alamau. A lot to get done here against 5, and I think with 60 seconds left, it's a hard ask. especially when Savage is hitting shots like that. A 3K for himself in the round with a headshot onto Alamau. Stomping 1v5, no problem, right, Tim? You've sat in his presence. How likely do you say he's capable of doing a 1v5, given the aura?
We saw him hit an ace the other day to finish off a 20-kill game as well. So he's certainly had some big performances. He's not going to have one here. Savage is going to take him down. Well, it's always, you know, a 1v5 is always going to be a big ask. But yeah, Savage had a really, really big round on the Vigil there. I often talk about the Vigil and the fact if you're bringing that operator along, you got to do two things. One is waste time, two is find kills. Savage has done both things, you know, in absolute, the bucket's full there. Brilliant stuff using the Vigil. Gets himself 3. Wins the round for his team effectively there. Great stuff from Savage, and it gets Secret back into it before they go out of it. It levels them up at 2-2. 3-1, very different scoreline, so good time for Secret to get the round. They need to get that second or third choice site though. They need to get basement or they need to get piano, because that's where G2 have punished them last time, and they don't want to go 4-2 down going into the G2 defense on Consulate.
We had a 4K from Lawyer in round 3, straight into a 4K from Savage. Both sides showing they've got those hero players that can go big when required. Down to the base we go for round 5. Keen to see how they play this out, especially with Noah jumping across onto the Scott boss here. We also got this down catch yesterday. The high fantasy of Scott bosses that teleport behind them. You know, you're upstairs somewhere, you're dead, you're already dead, kid, all that kind of stuff. Very rare you get to see it come to life. In fact, the most exciting one that we saw was the attempted like 1 versus 1 on bank making use of a Scott boss to shield the defuse from the windows with one shell while the other one tried to get the disable in. Didn't win out in the end, but that was definitely the coolest, most unexpected use that we've seen for that operator so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if you sat at home thinking, why do I bring Scorpos? Why am I putting it in my ranked lineup? You know, the much more everyday reality to Scorpos, the everyday use is that Scorpos brings 3 pieces of utility effectively, where other operators can only bring 1. Scorpos brings a shield. If you put the unit down inside a site somewhere, you can play behind that. Not quite as close as a deployable shield, but still pretty good. Also, a bulletproof camera that is then attached to that shield effectively, and then the impact nades on top. So Scorpos is just absolutely laden with utility. But then on top of that, you get those extra HP possibly as well. If you go out there, have a gunfight, switch over to your other shell, you can be back on full HP if it's not taking any damage. So super, super versatile operator is Scorpos.
Of course, means toffee if you die. We've got a couple of players starting to skulk around here, so got to be careful exactly where he plays himself. Doki taking this one so slowly. Sees the man. I believe that was a trade coming on through. Yes, it was. 1 for 1. Not the end of the world, admittedly, for the defenders. Now it's a little bit more of that. Second one goes down and the Scorpos falling down. G2 have got the man advantage and half a round to play Tim. And another phone call coming online in about 2 seconds time. They can get this done, although admittedly 3 hard breach is maybe not the most proficient when it comes to utility for what you might need. Savage goes down as well. Perfect timing on the phone call. That one nice and close for comfort, but it's a 4v2.
Yeah, what a great example of those phone calls in action there. Basically saving Alamau's life, I think. Maybe he hears the footsteps as well, but he reacted well and got the kill. Stomping is actually, or was actually, down at Garage Wall, so I think that's been open this time as well with an exothermic. They didn't get to that point last time, didn't G2, but it's been another good attack from the Mowgli. Missing a few shots there. You're not going to get many better opportunities. Adrian manages to find Alamau 1 versus 3 from a 1 versus 4. It's a huge ask at this point. It's Lyra, who else, to find that final kill. G2 get another successful attack on those off sites. It's not the primary site choice for Team Secret. It was basement that time, and Secret have got a problem now. They've got a must-win round coming up for me. They don't want to go into the half 4-2 down with G2 moving on to the defense of Consulate. I expect G2 to be very solid on the defense here. They've pioneered a couple of the techniques. If you remember, when the Consulate rework came in, G2 were bringing out the ideas of how these sites get held, and in many ways some of those theories are still used now, so they know what it's all about on this map.
Yeah, looking much more composed. I did say after that round 4, when we've seen Secret battle their way back in, that it would be an interesting round 5 to see where the sort of balance, where the pendulum landed. It was very firmly over towards G2's side. Maybe this actually turns out to be an awful lot like Map 1 of our previous series, where it is just both sides wailing on each other, and you're not quite sure who's going to come out on top right up until the dying couple of rounds. And Of course, two halves to a game of Siege could be very, very different once we switch sides, but I think you'll see Secret growing in confidence on the attacking side, because as I said earlier, both of these teams have got a higher attacking % win rate than they do a defender-sided win rate, and their attacking win rates are the best in the league as well.
Yeah, it's certainly going to test G2 in the second half. They will want this round to give themselves a little bit of breathing space. I'm sure they'll know those numbers coming in. They'll be well aware of the challenge that awaits them. But yeah, it just feels for me at the minute like Secret are a little bit off the pace here on Consulate. And when you look at how often they play the map, the results on it, the preference for Consulate is very, very low. It's regularly banned by them. And I feel like we're just starting to see that against a team in G2 who we know like playing this map. Dorky steps up, gets the kill onto Savage with the shotgun. He's been in the chat all day. He's been in the chat all day. He did misspell shush earlier though, so he was too excited.
Not to spell, Tim.
He was too excited, and we ended up with, I think it was SHSUH to tell someone to shush.
SHSUH.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
he was just too excited to get on the keyboard and type.
That's a fast typing typo, that is. That's not like not knowing how to spell the word shush.
Oh, no, not at all.
Well, Blaz gets one more, and again, it's this slow bleed from Secret that seems to hurt them in a lot of these rounds. G2 get the entry, a few seconds later they get another, a few seconds later they get another, and Secret just kind of struggle to recompose themselves and play behind a lot of the utility. I think is the main worry. At this point, they've got the control they need. A plant is going on through. Adrian is above indeed. That's an idea, but can he shoot the man? No, he's getting pressure coming back up from below here. Nothing that he can do. Alamo gets that finish with 0 damage being taken. Now a step away. Smoke is starting to bleed on through from Noah, but this was like another round win to G2 and a 4-2 attacking half.
They just look like a different beast, to be honest with you, Des. They're completely in control. Secret looked great against Falcons, but it just looks like they've, gone up a level here. They've gone up a step in terms of challenges, and at the minute, they're not meeting that bar that G2 are setting. And don't get me wrong, that's not even really a slight at Secret. It's G2 are just setting this bar very, very high. They are getting in there, they're getting aggressive, they're getting entry kills, they are taking control, they're putting diffusers down. They're just playing brilliant team Siege.
They said it themselves throughout the stage on the interviews that we've had. They've been kind of like, yeah, I don't really know why it's working. Like, it's just, Alaba's calling's great, everyone's playing well, the vibes are good. And I'm almost waiting for a point when they get handed a brutal loss, and that's when the wheels start to come off, because I think about G2 iterations of old, that's so often been the way. We see them having these wonderful spells of Siege where they look absolutely fantastic, and then little things start going wrong and they really struggle to recover and bounce back. But this stage, that hasn't really waned. We've seen them at that same level, and whether that's the impact of having a young rookie like stomping on side is playing so well and having 5 very, very competent players, or it's the fact that Alamal's back on IGL and is actually doing a really good job with it. Not that you'd expect anything less. He did IGL his team to a world final, let's not forget, and win the whole thing, lifting the hammer back in 23. But it just feels like all the pieces are clicking together right now. I'm just like being very, very cynical and saying I do wonder if at some point the wheels start to come off, but we'll enjoy this high period that we're in while it's here.
It's going to be G2's first defense then. Let's see if they can send a... This is a big round. This is a big round for Secret. Usually we see that come around sort of 8 or 9, but this is definitely around 7, or is this one? If G2 come out here with an opening first defense, go 5-2 up, I'm not saying it's GG go next, but Secret need to, they've already had the timeout, they need to, be having a sort of, I would say a long card look at themselves, but they won't have time. It'll need to be a quick hard look and get some stuff changed to get some rounds won before they lose Conceal.
Won't be too surprising, by the way, with the bans coming out. That Monty, of course, a ban against Savage, one of the scariest Shield players in the world right now. The Deimos coming out as a target ban against Doom on the other side. Played an awful lot of that this stage. His most played operator. So not all surprised to see that one being targeted away. Does mean on the other side, they'll still run the Dockerby, though. Still looking for that information game. Still looking to control G2 a little bit. But can you really control a wild Sally and Tim? I'm not 100% sure you can.
Good quick progress from Secret. They've recognised that there's no denial on the garage wall, so they've gone down there immediately and got it opened up. G2 wanting to continue peeking that, nearly lost the head, but Noah is the one who comes away taking just a fraction of damage. G2 are really trying to hold on to this mid floor. They want to keep hold of Piano and Exhibition for as long as possible, because without denial on the wall, this is their way of preventing Secret from pressuring the breach. They can't come running in the breach whilst G2 hold Piano. So that's a really key battleground in this round. Keep an eye on who manages to survive there. That is a big loss. Doom gets taken down but not out. We see Savage off the board as well. Noah does manage to find Stompin, but it's effectively 4 versus 3.
And Doke's got to watch himself here. The round isn't won just yet. It's a 3 versus 3. A 4v3 if they can recover Doom, but I think being mindful of the swings potentially coming from that window, they don't want to play around with it. Down to a 2 versus 2 though. Okay, things now starting to look a little bit more ropey at this point. Can Alamau and Doki clutch up big? Because you know the old chat is going to be insufferable if they do.
That's a big kill from Doki there. He's backed up his words in the old chat, getting Adrian taken out. It means now him and Alamau can just play together. They can work this to create a crossfire. I'm a little bit concerned that they're on separate floors at the minute. One down in basement, Alamau's down there, but Doki is up on this first floor looking for the kill, and really you want them in a position to be able to impact on each other's deaths. Should Noah manage to get down there and find one, the other needs to make it a lose-lose situation for Noah. They have now teamed up, and that should mean that G2 are able to close this out, and it's an important round if they can go 5-2 up.
Really looking for the measure of maturity of G2 here as well, not to swing silly, to wait for the moment, and then Doki swings anyway and gets the kill. You're denying us the old chat here, guys. I want to know what you're saying. Written right now, nothing to his team apparently, but I can imagine he's feeling on top of the world right now. Tim, not just a great game, but a great stage overall from Doki, really starting to return to the form of old.
He's been fantastic the last couple of play days, hasn't he? I know we've been sort of, you know, really waxing lyrical about G2 so far in this map, but it's kind of difficult not to, because they are against a very good team in Secret, but they're looking dominant, and they're looking dominant because they're playing so well, and it is on the back of players like Stompin's performances so far through the stage. Doki as well, we've seen that, as you said, that resurgence for him over the last few weeks especially. I always used to say about Doki, he's the sort of player that he'll hear a barricade and he just runs at it. That's the sort of mentality he's got. He wants the fights all the time. He's confident. He, in his mind, knows he's going to win every single gunfight he goes into. And of course, no player's ever going to do that. But I think that's the player we're seeing Doki back to, particularly over the last few weeks. And it's great to watch because it's just wall-to-wall entertainment, because it's just siege at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
It is. Not really an awful lot that the other side can do to slow it down either, I think, because G2 so far are rising to that challenge, matching Secret very well. Even when earlier it felt like they had a little bit more freedom against Falcons, they certainly are not finding it in this game. Quite a mountain to climb, Tim. 3 rounds they've got to find here to get themselves back up to 5 apiece. Otherwise, this map is short, so we find ourselves heading over towards Chalet instead. Let's see how things move here in this round. There are a lot of trap operators being brought along by G2. Looking, of course, in towards the Ella, in towards the Legion here, but also things like the Melusi and the Vulcan canisters that are going to slow them down. G2 just really looking to be a nightmare for Secret.
Yeah, Secret need a minimum of back-to-back round wins here. I think need to get up to 5-4 before they can start thinking about anything else. So it's just focus on round 8 and 9 at the moment for them. Adrian just going to be holding that angle. He goes into admin. I think G2 are aware of this. Lawyer is ready to pounce! Goes around the corner. Does he get his man? No! Does down him on the spray. Mowgli is taken out by the impact nade afterwards by Stompin. He's there to finish it off. I thought they were going to get nothing for that G2. It was great cover from the window. Secret had that on lock, but have still lost that IQ. Big loss.
Massive loss. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it still keeps things going, though, right? Like, okay, both sides lose an operator you can sort of live without for the most part. It's certainly not the end of the world. From this point forward, Secret have got to up the ante. As I've said, there's that 3-round deficit. They've got to fight their way back through. And if G2 match them 1-for-1, it only gets harder for Secret to close the round out. Makes life harder and harder for the attackers as you're losing those operators away to keep yourself competitive.
You see what I'm saying there about Doki? They just had a little pop shot at him as he ran across there through piano. And what does he do? He turns around, comes back, and he's checking the angle. Is there a fight I can take? Is there anything I can see? He just wants to get aggressive. Alamau is going to get taken down. Savage onto Doki. Secret, they managed to find themselves a couple of kills. They can build on this now. What a great foundation. They've got a minute left to go. G2 do still have the top floor, but it's not going to be easy to hold from here.
We had some spectacular rounds being thrown away yesterday, Tim, in our series. It was crazy yesterday. Like 4v2 or 5v3, so big of it, like free candy. It was ridiculous. But I back Secret here to not be the team, to let this one run away from them. But as it starts out, Stompin gets one, Blaz gets a second. Tim, it's happening.
It really looks like it could. Gonna see Blast taken out. Stompin's going to need that 1v2. He's already got 1 kill in the round. He is playing from underneath now. He's on site. He's waiting for the drop. He sees the first. He gets hit. It's 1v1, Des. This could happen. And what a hold it will be from G2. This could be a hammer blow to Secret's hopes.
It could be if it comes down to him being the man. Doki's already in the old chat, just trying to turn it against him as well. Trying to bait it out here, but the Stompin's playing the game well. He's got Noah shaking here. He's either got to chase after it, Tim, or he's got to stick to this plant. He's got no choice now. He has to stick it. Stompin pushing his way up, has kind of played it out a bit too safely himself. It's a 1v1, all guns up. Stompin, the one who's now on the attack. Can he find his man? But now, Noah dug in deep, just waiting to see if this step across comes on through. But Noah's got he can be patient here, Tim. He hasn't got to push or be aggressive. Stompin's the one who's got to make the move, and Noah wins it out. No shaking here, I'm afraid, Doki.
Maybe just a little bit premature there from Doki. Stompin, look, great effort. They were in the 2v3 upstairs. They managed to get it back to a 1v1, but you got to say, Stompin, he's got a choice there. He stays close to site and he might get challenged by Noah, and that he doesn't want that to happen. So yeah, he dips himself back down yellow stairs, but he just, unfortunately, and it's easy to say in hindsight, he just plays it a little bit conservatively and he allows Noah that opportunity to put it down. And as soon as that happens, he's then in the disadvantageous situation. He's the one that's got the tough job because he's got to go and retake the site. So unfortunately for Stompin, it's a 50-50. You make a call. He decides, I think Noah's chasing me. I'm just going to keep myself alive. Noah's baited that out pretty well, gets the plant down and just gets the round won. So essential one for Secret to lock down in the 1v1. Not easy when they've had the rounds that they've had against G2 so far. Good from them. They need another one now in round 9.
Dude, this is the key round you used to speak about an awful lot, wasn't it, Tim? Like at this point, it either goes 6-3 and you just don't see that team winning 3 rounds back-to-back to bring us to 6-6, or you bring it up to 5-4 and suddenly there's that conversation of, well, within 1 round of each other, this could go either way, or at the very least to all 12 rounds of regulation to see how things close out. So I'm kind of with you. For me, Secret have to get this round over the line.
I agree. I think if they do, I'm not saying it will happen, but it wouldn't surprise me to see a G2 tack timeout. The thought process against that would be you don't really want to give Secret the tack timeout because, of course, they also have the opportunity if you take the tack timeout. So you don't really want to give them something for nothing. But with 2 rounds going back to back and then being back within touching distance, you start thinking, you know, at what point does G2 feel that maybe they have that discussion? But for the time being, we'll see how round 9 plays out. Good progress from Secret in the first 30 or 40 seconds. They're going to get meeting wall open and just start clearing out some of that utility.
Sure, it's all about that softening up game to make that, take that utility away first, make it so you aren't charging into fire and smoke and brimstone and everything else that can shoot you away. Really what I look to see them do is actually get up in the base of G2 here, be willing to pressure onto players like Blaz, just like that. Taking him down is certainly a great spot to be in, but they've lost 2 players for the privilege, Tim. It's into a 4 versus 2 as G2 are holding firm, stomping onto 1 more, and Noah's now got it all to do. Secret have really tried to brute force their way in here in that opening 60 seconds, and they've paid the price.
Yeah, I think they've just gone a little bit too quickly there. Sometimes, look, you've got to take the risk. You've got to throw the dice, see what sticks. Secret, they did exactly that, but it wasn't enough. They didn't account for the fact that they were going to go in through meeting wall and get hit with an Ella mine. You know, we've seen quite a lot of Ella played through this from G2, every single round so far, in fact. So, you know, they should have been expecting maybe something like that. That really stopped that aggression coming in through meeting wall, but they'd already had a bit of damage done. Blaz did great work with the Tachanka as he recognised there was going to be pressure coming onto that old connector window. So he's just firing those Shumika launcher over the top and just making it impossible for anybody to come in through that window. And then the rest of G2 were mostly off site. We saw the position the Clash was holding, we saw where Doki was, and it just meant they weren't getting hit by those Candelas. They were fully prepared for that type of push, and they got themselves a really important round 9. They just need 1 more now. Secret are going to need 4 back-to-back. Well, 3 back-to-back to get overtime, and then another 2. It's not looking good for the Moncon.
No, the one kind of silver lining you might take from it is saying, you know, first map in, fine, adjusting in the pace here because, again, playing against Falcons and against G2, very different pace in terms of the teams there. It's going to be something that you have to adapt to. And don't forget as well, they're also coming off the back of that series. I know there's the whole thing about still being hot, but G2 have had time to sit and watch that game, have something to eat, do a little bit of prep coming into this game. No doubt Secret have also done their own prep, expecting to play against G2 in this series. But by the same token, G2 have more time to be prepared for this one, I think is the key thing. Let's not forget and part of this as well. Going into that second map, it is Secret's map pick on Chalet. You'd hope to see a bit of a stronger performance coming out of them there.
You would, but as I said, coming in, we know that G2 are a solid Chalet team as well. Secret are going to have their work cut out for them, especially with G2 gathering this kind of momentum going into it as well. But look, anything can happen when these two teams are playing. Nitro comes out of the window, it's going to catch Mowgli but not take him down. Does do about 40 HP of damage though, so it'll give him something to think about. Very quiet game so far from Mowgli, from a number of the Secret players really. It feels like they just need somebody to grab a hold of this by the scruff of the neck and drag them back into it, but I just don't know. It feels like it's too late for that.
Yeah, like I was saying back in the first half, it was Mowgli who actually wanted to see come online on the entry side of things. Like, he is that player. He loves playing that style of role. The big challenge for me when he moved to Secret in the first place was, yeah, how can you contain the wild child? The way that he likes to play and the way that he did a lot on Wolves is quite far ahead of the rest of his team. Really wanted to make space, basically go 1 versus 5 and win the game. This is what I'm speaking about. Him getting entries when he's got a bit more control and the team are built around him is how they find their way back into this. And now in a 4 versus 3, a couple more kills fall by the wayside. This is a round that is in their control. They've got man advantage and 2 minutes to play with.
Yeah, great start for Secret. What they need to do now is cement this with the next kill. Don't let G2 level up. It's something that G2 have done pretty well. We've only seen them in that one sort of man disadvantage clutch situation whilst they've been on the defense. They fight their way back into rounds very well. Don't allow them to get the next kills. Use those drones. You've only got 4 left, which is a bit of a problem for Secret, but make sure you're aware of what's going on. Keep that man advantage.
Pushing aggressive here, Alamau trying to hunt down his target, but sadly being forced back by that one. Couldn't quite land the shots that he needed to. Full white flash and will get himself out of danger and down towards the rest of his team. Doki now readying himself up for a push to come in from this front door as Secret is starting to apply the pressure here. Down to the last 60 seconds and Mowgli gets his second of the round.
They've got the diffuser. Doki just dies at the wrong time there, really. Alamai manages to drop that diffuser at his feet. It gives him something to work with because he knows they have to come to him. But 4 drones left on the field and it's still got plenty of time. 40 seconds left. They're going to know that he's playing on top of this case, so they just need to push at the same time. They give him a 1v1 and he eats it up, Des.
Yeah, they didn't know where he was there. It was all be a risk stepping into this situation. Now, these last two, Noah and Mowgli, 2 of the entries for this team, have got to go absolutely massive, but I think they've got away with the diffuser here. Knocked out by the air jab. No shots coming in from below. So handed a second lifeline here, but they have got the diffuser, Tim, and they are planting. This one's going to be hard to recover.
It is. This is the problem for Alamaui. Just let him slip through the net. It was always going to be a big ask when he was 1 versus 3. Mowgli manages to cut him down. They were opposite sides. Never really going to close out that situation. He needed to keep a hold of that case in the 1v3, but couldn't. A good round for Secret. Aggressive onto the top floor. Took the area that they needed. And G2, they just didn't do what I said they have done previously, which is keep themselves in the fight. Secret were able to get those subsequent kills, give themselves and keep themselves the advantage and get the round closed out. So well played from them, but I don't think G2 will honestly mind that, Des. It was the split site. It's not the end of the world. They're now going to go back to sites that they've won already, and this is where the real challenge comes in for Secret. They need 2 more rounds.
Loading mag.
Okay, looks like he's just lost the whole series there.
That's what it means to G2 at the minute. Every kill seems to feel like that for them. I love it.
I was really bothered by it. However, as already said, they've already found themselves into the spots to be invited to EWC, so that's a nice little winners take away from today. This is, again, as we've said, now really playing for those SI points to guarantee yourself at least 150 by making it into our grand final. Everyone else has got to fight their way through down that lower bracket, which will be what starts on Monday and Tuesday next week. Of course, we'll close things out on the Tuesday with the final couple of games there. See who's finishing in 5th and 6th place. Just a reminder, 5th place is the one that gets invited. 6th gets nothing. It'd really be a stinger to be that 6th place team. Well, 6th place team coming into playoffs and not being the only one in playoffs to not make it and get an invite would be a little bit of a hard pill to swallow, I feel, but G2, of course, and Secret at this point have no worries about that being an outcome for them. They have already qualified. This is all about those SI points.
I like this barricade being knocked out. Look at the caution that it's bringing out of Savage. I don't think G2 are going to aggress onto this, but it's just about preventing that secret wall being opened up too easily. Don't give them anything for free. Don't allow them to come in and just breach that. Make them feel like there's a danger for everything. That wall could have been open by now. It was 35 seconds in and it's still not. And it's because that barricade's been knocked out. It's as easy as that.
Little quick peek to try and bait Stomping in. I think, oh, sorry, Stomping trying to bait more Savage out the other side. And does give away his position. Of course, the flash out Savage, in fact, both flashes now gone. But then you realise that there's also Blaz inside of that part of the map, giving support to Stomping, to the two of them, looking to hold it down. And what I do like from G2, the playstyle we've seen across this half so far, is not wanting to give any ground realistically over towards Secret. They're making them fight tooth and nail for every square foot of this map.
They have managed to get that wall open now, so they can start to work in from that backside. But as we look, we've still got 3 players on the side of Secret that are outside of the map. They're not established inside yet, and time is ticking. They've still got plenty of it left just yet, but that won't be the case forever. One stun comes back off the window frame again. It's not going to help. Good opener. Second in a row. Second round in a row now that Mowgli's got that entry. We said we needed a little bit more, and he starts to deliver. He gets himself a second, but the kills coming from G2. They've got the answers again, just like I said. They have through the match, but a flash means that they can't see Mowgli coming. 3v2, diffuser going down.
He's back to his old wall self here by the looks of it. Tim is chewing through this G2 side. The future is down. Adrian gets one more. It's Stomping to try and recover it against these two. And Mowgli and Adrian are going to give him nothing. Tried his very best there. Was looking for the challenge on towards Pillar, but no. Adrian wins that one out as well. Mowgli there again has been the hero for his team. A 4K in the last round, a 3K in this one. I said to you earlier, Tim, he's that player, globally, by the way, it's worth stressing, the player that gets most of his kills on the attacking side. He is clear of so many others. I think the next, I want to say it was Savage, like 3% below him. It's a crazy number at 62% to have most of your kills coming on the attacking side, but you can see why. When he gets to be a little bit more mobile, when he's the one finding a gap and stepping into it, that is when Mowgli really shines at his very best. He's great at capitalizing on that. On the defense, you don't really get too many opportunities like that.
G2 have chosen to take the tactical timeout now. Team Secret just getting a little bit close for comfort. I feel like Secret, I spoke about G2 raising the bar earlier in this match, and they were significantly on top of Team Secret. They were getting round after round, and they had definitely shifted into another gear. But I feel like now Secret have matched them. They've found that extra 10% they needed. They've got Mowgli firing. They're coming in, taking ground, playing more confidently. They've got back within 1, and this is screaming overtime unless G2 can change something in this final regulation defense.
I back them to do it. I do believe they can, but they've just got to stop letting Mowgli do what he's done across those last 2 rounds. It is one thing I'll probably say to it is I know that it looks like, wow, Secret have bounced back. They've won 2 rounds. Yes, they have. But 7 kills across those 2 rounds were because of Mowgli. He's the one who's really dragged them through. Again, not all taken away from his team. Like, they enabled him to be able to make that kind of play. But you shut him down on the entry. Doki pops up and gets an entry, for example. I think we have a very different conversation about the rest of how those rounds play out, because outside of Mowgli and to a degree Savage, no one on this team is positive. They've all had a rough game so far. On the other side of things, it's looked far more competitive with almost every single player of G2 being in the positive. So we've got to see G2 shut Mowgli down. It sounds so easy. Just kill that one player. I won't want to be the person tasked with trying to kill Mowgli, Tim, I'll tell you that much.
Well, the problem is it comes down to sort of your pre-game preparation, doesn't it? It comes down to that analysis work to understand where's Mowgli actually going to push from. Because, you know, that is something that teams, of course, look at. You know, that's some of the data work that is done. Watch those previous maps, study what are the entry routes, where did they come in from, where do the entry players like to push from, what ground do they take, where do they take those opening fights. So, first of all, it's having that information and understanding what somebody like Mowgli is maybe going to do, and then it's countering it as well. It's having somebody who goes in and actually wins that gunfight. When Mowgli's had a very good, confident couple of rounds, it's not going to be easy to do. So you're absolutely right. Keep an eye on that entry battle. So far, I will hit you with a stat. There's every single round has gone in the direction of the person who has got the opening kill. So that's how vital it is. Keep an eye out for it.
So the team that gets the entry is the one that wins the round.
Absolutely.
Well, we shall see. Mowgli gets an entry and turns it into 3 more kills, or a G2 find themselves being the ones on top. Really will come down to catch them by surprise, I think, because Doki's skulking his way up these stairs there. Obviously in a spot to, as G2 have done all half long, look to waste time away from Secret here, forcing to play the jump and the dance. Speaking of jumping, June maybe looking to hop in a window as well. The Amaro at the ready. We speak about this a lot. It's not always about executing with the Amaro from below. Sometimes it's quick entry into a part of the map to try and cut off a player who might be in a bit of a precarious position. So for now, very patient game being shown by Secret, making use of those Roteros, for example. Lots of drone work going on. Make sure they've got what they need. And Tim, I've got bad news for you. It's Secret that get the entry.
They dealt with Doki brilliantly there. We see him trying to push back up Visa stairs, get to some sort of safety, and a flash comes in at the top of the stairs. Knowing that he won't push through that, it gives Savage the time to get to the bottom of the stairs and catch him out. So now G2 have got to do what nobody has done in the last 11 rounds, and that is win this one from a 4 versus 5. Secret have got a minute left to go. We hear the utility going in. It's going to be time for them to start pushing and trying to take site very soon. Blaz manages to find Savage, levels it up 4 versus 4. Alamo on to Doom. G2 might do this. Blaz, he finds another. They could overcome the start stairs. Here's the challenge. It's going to be that man Loira, but no, Blaz. He finds the final kill, and G2 locked down Consulate.
I was trying to feed him in the morning, couldn't find him, and somehow he managed to get round the side of the building, and it had been raining for 2 or 3 hours. I couldn't find him for half an hour, and then I went outside and found him. I was in tears. He was desperate to get inside. I was stood there hugging him in the rain. It was very sad. This time, I was like, he's outside again, isn't he?
It's a stressful situation to wake up to, that, isn't it, though? It's like,
it is,
you're straight into the deep end. You're straight in at that point.
It definitely wakes you up, doesn't it? Because I sat down in my office now, where I am now, and my window was open, and I heard a meow outside, and I was like, that sounds like my cat. Went downside, and there he was, sat outside under the table. I was like, how do you keep doing this? And I think what's happened is, he seems to somehow be able to ram into our back door and force it open, but very stupidly, it then closes behind him, so he can't get back in. And then he sits there and has the audacity to whine and moan that he is stuck outside. And I'm like, you did this to yourself. My sympathy is heavily reduced. It's not the first time. If it happens again, I might just leave him out there this time.
There's a lesson to be learned, I'm sure, but I doubt that you will, Des. You love them cats.
No, I do not intend to let him outside again, that's for sure.
Let's get into it then. Tech pause over. We're going to go back into round 1. Chalet, you have missed absolutely nothing. I just had a little issue to iron out before we got started between these two. So G2 are going to kick things off on the defense. Just for a quick reminder of the stakes, what is going on. We are in our upper bracket final in the EML playoffs. The winner will guarantee themselves a spot in the grand final. More importantly, it guarantees them a top 2 finish, which is the difference between 50 SI points for 3rd, 4th and 5th place, and 150 for 2nd and 300 for 1st. So it guarantees them a minimum of an extra 100 SI points. Huge when we're looking at qualification to 2026 SI. So that's what these two are really playing for at the minute. A little bit of extra prize money, all sorts of things. G2 have won the first map. It was a close affair in the end. 7-5 G2 took it on Consulate. They were dominant for big parts of that map, but Secret were able to show some real resilience. We're now on Secret's map choice of Chalet. These two played this earlier in EML, and G2 won 8-6 in overtime, but not a good start for them as Adrian takes down Stompin.
Proceed slowly.
Yeah, I get what Stompin's trying to do here. You're on that vigil. Your aim is to be disruptive. What better disruption can you do than picking someone off who's stuck behind a Monty when the Monty can't quickly drop his shield and challenge you? However, Adrian's a little bit too wise for those kind of antics. He's been around the block a few times at this point. He manages to get the trade back onto the, well, trade back, gets the kill back the other side, I should say. Secret have now got this 5 versus 4. And what's really impressive about this round, Tim, is, well, not this round, but this half, really, is the fact that that Monty is available. That is the big one. It was banned away from them last time. It's one of Savage's most played operators. In fact, I'd argue that it would be if it wasn't banned away against his team all that often. You're going to see a lot of pressure coming from him and the rest of his team here, but with the 5 versus 4, that Monty becomes oh so more powerful.
No trap operators taken away in the bans by Secret. Legion has been brought along by G2, but no more than that. So they're not kind of going too heavy on that slow down approach just yet. Still 5 versus 4 as Noah with the Ram gets the boogie drone to work up above in main lobby. So that's going to make it difficult to play anywhere inside of Snowmobile. It can maybe get themselves in behind the metal shelves, in behind the bomb chassis. Other than that, G2 are now going to have to be cautious of their movement. Meanwhile, Savage just stands ominously at that back door from Trench, looking into Wine, feeding all that intel back to his team.
Almost exposed himself entirely there to Alamar. Didn't expect to swing on Pillar so soon and almost paid the price for it. Now we got one tucked in close and it's Shub. Alamar, no idea that he was there. Mowgli into a second, and Secret are not going to give away that man advantage they had here. Yes, they get one back in the form of Blast, but the damage has largely been done. C4 not going to find his man. Savage should be able to get this one stuck down as Blaz and Doki are going to be on watch at this point. Nothing they can get away with. The Fuse is going to get stuck. Blaz got it all to do against 4. Secret most definitely going to take this first round.
And do so as Mowgli pops around the corner, gets that final kill, and that is a great opening for Secret. It's exactly what they needed. They've come out of a tough loss. It was close. They nearly got a consulate done. They're on their own map pick now. They need to make sure they're getting a good start. This is a map that G2 are more than happy to play, as we know from over the last year or so. They've put in some really solid performances. Secret with a great start to things. That was a really nice kill from Adrian. Knew that the challenge was going to come, and this one as well. Just having that additional hole open that allowed that angle onto Alamo. He wasn't quite aware of it and got taken out, got caught out. The Secret just rolled over them. They saw the opportunity. They knew the blood was in the water at that point, so they just pushed forward and got aggressive. And G2, they're going to move on for round 2. Looks like it's going to be bar and game.
I've just realised what I'm going to buy you for Christmas, Tim.
Some nose strips.
No. I mean, it's not far off that word, though. It does sound quite similar. I'm going to buy you a garden gnome.
Okay.
It's the only one that's got my face on it.
Is there any way that I can dissuade you from doing that?
Why? You sound really against garden gnomes.
I mean, I've nothing against them. They just don't quite fit with the aesthetic, with the vibe that I'm going for, really.
That's exactly why I'm going to get you one.
Yeah, excellent.
Just a way to ruin your day, ruin your garden a little bit, whatever I can do.
I'm putting like 6 to 8 weeks of serious graft into this, and you're going to rock up with some gnomes just to put a comedic edge on it. Excellent.
It's going to take me all of 30 seconds to find one on Amazon and press order, and I hope you know that my time investment is so much less than yours, yet I can still ruin your day with it. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, let's see if Secret can continue ruining G2's day on Chalet. Got themselves an advantage, but they're going to be looking to get this done and dusted in 2. Get it secured and get themselves an early night, but Secret have definitely got something to say about it. Mowgli was really good on the entry. Ooh, in the last round of Consulate. Did get 2 kills in the first round of Chalet, but Stomping cuts him down to size from the rooftop and gets G2 the opener. And interestingly, Des, that stat that I mentioned did continue in round 1. Secret got the opening kill and won the round. G2 have got the opening kill this time around. Can they do the same?
Well, they turned into a second, Tim, so it's starting to bubble up towards that. I mean, both of these teams are on that level in the same way I was saying it about Virtus Pro yesterday, where if you are getting the entry, better yet, the first 2 kills in a round, it should be impossible for you to lose the round. You shouldn't be giving away. They're not the kind of teams that will find themselves conceding these man advantages like this. For G2 now, they can afford to sit and play behind a lot of the utility they've got. They've got the Wamais, they've got the laser gates, ADS, mirror windows, information, C4. They've got everything they can use here to try and keep Secret at bay. It's going to take a pretty magical effort coming out from Secret to be able to turn this one around, especially now they've chewed through all of their scans coming out from the Lion and all but a smoke coming out of the Capitao.
They really are doing everything they can to dislodge Lyra here, but what a position he's holding. He dare not move because he knows that he's going to expose the top of his head, but he's got the magnets, he's got the ADSs, all the utilities, unsuccessful. He takes his beat, they're doing everything they can. Lyra, you can't hit a shot like that. He finds somewhere on the rappel. Doki and Alamo finish out the round, but that is all about Lyra and the position that he held in Library. He knew when he took the challenge that he was putting himself in danger, but then hits an absolute beauty on the 180.
I love about that spot, and I remember seeing it from NJR initially, and it was a really cool thing to do. Is like if you're looking from top down in towards Library, that soft wall on the right hand side, if you open it up and rotate between there, it's really hard for you to get challenged by the player that's on the Library window itself. And NJR famously used to play it an awful lot with the Jaeger, have ADSs down, so they couldn't nade him out either. It's a real power position when you find yourself dug into a good spot. And even there, as you say, Lyra has just wasted so much time, drawn so much attention to himself. The Secret didn't know they're up from the down at there. Brilliant spot to be in. And like I say, a little bit of inspiration there, I think, out of NJR's, but doing a hell of a lot of magic for them. One apiece then, G2 showing they are very much here and present on Chalet. Now we've got a game in our hands, Tim.
Yep, great stuff from G2. I say that mastery of that position that you've just so expertly explained there. There's brilliant stuff from Lyra, and Secret really didn't have an answer to it. They threw everything, including the kitchen sink, in there, but it just didn't do enough to dislodge him. He was able to keep himself in position. Seriously impressive stuff. So G2 move on to their 3rd defensive site. It's going to be dining and kitchen. They will be trying to hold on to master and office for the time being. So let's see what Secret do, where they this shape up from. Fresh said it at the beginning of things here. We tend to see this map as two halves. Do you start on the library side, or do you go direct to, in this case, not site, but into Master and Office and try to take out that extension? It looks like they're going to be heading into main lobby, fireplace, library, and that half of the map first.
Death bar tracker out.
Sure. Right, coming into the mile already, so Doki going to find himself challenged. No big surprise, as one of the main entries for this team that he'll be the one they're expecting to run into first and foremost. But at least give me information on where he is, so he'll force back ever so slightly into more safer positions here, tucked in behind the shield. Has the assist from Loira, because of course, Tim, one of those weaknesses of Deimos is you only get the track onto one player. Kind of use that Deimos, the track player, as a bit of bait really for the Deimos there, and having the ability to swing out there in towards Library Hall, certainly one way to look at it. C4 attempt coming on through. Bogey sat here just ready and waiting, helping to deal with the FNATs as well as that attempted C4 that came out. Nothing being found, that it will let Noah cross in nice and safely. But look, Tim, there's another C4 waiting.
To get the timing of this right could be catastrophic for Secret if they do try to push onto this office door. Adrian manages to take out Loira. That's big. It might just force the player away from this Nitro. No, it hasn't. Blaz is still in position, still waiting. Nitro goes out. Got to be a free bit. Manages to get Mowgli. Takes a lot of damage along the way, but not the end of the world for G2. Deimos gone with the verticality available on this site is great stuff, but look at the double from Adrian. Punishes Doki for trying to go out of the window, having absolutely none of that. I'm not sure it was luck, Doki. Adrian was poised, ready for that one. And G2 do start the fight back, but it's looking good for Secret.
I don't think it was luck as much as it was stupidity from Doki, really. I think he was trying to double down on stomping. Yeah. It was a weird one.
I think that's exactly what I would say in that situation.
But onwards we march. It's into a 2 versus 2. I mean, Alamar and Blaz have got a bullet between the pair of them here, so it's not looking great for the prospects of getting into a drawn-out gunfight, but headshots, that means there's no need for a drawn-out gunfight. Finds one. Noah's there for the trade. Alamar lucky not to get the second. It's Blaz versus Noah to settle round 3.
Problem that they've got is that information coming in. You can see the yellow ping, so they've got a good idea here, Noah, of exactly where Blaz is. They know he's going to be in trophy somewhere, so they can go down there kind of ready for the fight. And as they check each corner, got to see the gun barrel there, surely. Yes, sees it now, knows exactly which corner he's in. Just going to pre-fire around this and wins the fight. Nice and easy for Noah. Secret close it out. Probably a little bit closer than maybe it should have been. Adrian doing some great work on that one. They never actually needed to go near site. All the kills came from elsewhere. But Secret take their second round on attack.
They do indeed. The fact it comes down to a 1v1 just shows the two teams stay nail-bitingly close, though. Obviously, G2 managed to get the advantage in the first half of our last map, taking it 4-2 and then propelled themselves onto a win from there. But here, at least, Secret are the ones that have started with that momentum. We've remarked a few times about the attacking prowess of both teams. They're the ones in the lead, at least for now. Going to that second quarter, Master and Office is going to be where we head to. TFC can grow that lead up to a couple more rounds.
Yeah, I'm wondering which site G2 are going. Yeah, there was no luck involved. There was no. He watched Doki jump out of the window and then hit him with his gun. That was just reaction. Yeah, I'm wondering which site G2 are going to drop here, because they've gone basement, bar and game, dining and kitchen. They're now going to the fourth choice, which is Master and Office. So I'm wondering, in this rotation of 3, which one's going to drop away. I would imagine it's going to be one of the 2 that they've lost. It could well be basement, because it wasn't really kind of close. Secret were well in command of attacking that site. So I think G2 maybe drop that off. Go Master and Office, bar and gaming, dining kitchen. They need at least 2 of these defensive rounds.
5 seconds left.
They do. Well, let's see if they can warm themselves back into it. Of course, no tap time out being called in to try and set right the wrongs. Let's believe that they can get it done here and now. In fact, I saw a tweet earlier on, I believe it was from Romario, I might be wrong, but it was about the backroom staff of G2 saying, oh, you know, I've got a lot of work into this to make sure that they had the win that they did earlier on as well. I can only imagine it's exactly the same for this series too, anticipating they'll be up against, of course, one of the teams that we were seeing coming through in Secret. Well, a lot of prep has got to be done for these guys, as we've seen. It can be a bit chaotic at times, but as Alamar has shown, they are more than happy to meet Secret's level of freak.
G2 certainly sending a message to them. Nothing is going to be taken for free. Nothing is going to come easy for Secret. I get the feeling that this map is going to continue just like it was last time around when we saw it a month ago. It was 3-3 in each half. It went to overtime. It was 8-6 ultimately to G2. I don't know who the winner will be today, but I think it's going to be close either way. I don't see either of these teams taking a huge advantage and running away with this one. Advantage goes to G2 and doubles down on it as Lyra manages to find Noah. That's the Grim and the Lion off the board. That is 90% of their execution power. Blitz is the last thing they have left alive, really, to work and creating space and pushing into sight.
Both teams have been so good. I mean, as you pointed out, one round in this whole series has gone the way of the team that didn't get the entry kill. It is crazy. They get the entry, tend to convert it into a win. This one plays out the same way. A nice shot from Savage through the softball to get the head of Lyra, but he's got to do it in a 1 versus 3. Very unlikely, but just to again reiterate that point, Tim, we are finding the team that gets the start, gets ahead at the very start of the round. They are the ones consistently going on to win out.
Yeah, and as you say, it has continued. There's been one round in the entirety of Consort and Chalet so far that hasn't done that. Savage just sending a little bit of utility down there. We see the Nitro thrown blindly through the smoke. He can shoot that out at his leisure, but he's coming up against a bit of a brick wall here. There's a lot of utility. There's bulletproof cam that's going to hear him approaching even if it doesn't see him. There's shields. There's peaks behind the half wall, all sorts of things for Savage to try and deal with, and he can't, so gets taken out. G2 level things up 2-2. Secret have, I would say, a marginal advantage in that they're the one that keeps taking the lead, but it has been very, very close and very hard fought, and I think if G2 move on now to maybe Bar and Gaming that they won last time around, it's where they could possibly reverse that fortune. They won Bar and Gaming last time. If they've dropped Basement out of the rotation, and then they can, you know, change things around when it comes to dining and kitchen in round 6. Good opportunity for them to take that 4-2 advantage into the second half.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, looking at that moment in that last round as well with the pinch down in towards blue.
Bomb located by
Secret, even when they're down a man, is still trying to play out these 2v1 plays. And you had June, I think it was, working in through Garage to come and support the blitz push forward. It's not like we've got players on Secret just going in and dying willy-nilly in like a 1vx situation. It's not like it's at that level of crazy. It's just that G2 are matching everything they're doing. Every time they feel like they've got a man advantage, there's another G2 player somewhere nearby to be able to bat things up. So this is why I think it's so hard for both teams to be able to recover when they go into a man disadvantage situation. It's making life tough for both sides to fight their way back in. As it stands though, 2 apiece. Secret really want to come out of this half swinging. Again, that reminder the back on our previous map. G2 had a 4-2 half to kick things off. They were looking real good in that first half. Secret need to be replicating that success to give themselves a bit of momentum here.
Look at this aggression coming out of G2 again. It was Alamo last time who got the opener. Looks for another one but doesn't find it out of Trench. Will have alerted them to his presence as well. So Secret just going to be that extra bit cautious here. I'm sure that it will not have escaped the teams how influential the entry kills have been so far today. So they're not going to be giving anything away for free here. They're not going to be just wandering out and getting spawn peaks. They're going to be doing everything they can to avoid that. Savage on the Monte, consistently bringing those shields along. G2 opting not to ban them. Over manages to get a great entry onto Lyra. G2 so far the only team to overturn a round where they have not got the entry kill. Are they able to do it again?
We'll find out as we build up there. I was worried for a second they'd stay and keep on trying to fight Mowgli, and he collects second skull for the round. Wouldn't have been a pretty outcome. June being patient as all hell, but they've dropped the hatch down, got themselves away and out of danger. Not a lot of time wasted here as well. Only about 75 seconds has been chewed through, so call it, what, 50 to 60 seconds by the time they were actually up and at the building. So I don't think Secret are going to mind too much. They've been stalled out here in exchange for getting the kill onto the player that pretty sure has got probably, if not the most kills out of his team so far in this series.
3 of G2 now back to sight down in the basement. Blaz still on those blue stairs. He won't be too far away. G2 just trying to be patient and get a picture here. Blaz is desperate for his opportunity against this Monte. Being on the Warden as well, he's perfect for the challenge if they do decide to send some utility in ahead of the shield. But I don't think that your chance is going to... the stars are not going to align for you here, Blaz. You're going to see that shield before you see the feet. And it's likely going to mean that you don't get a chance to close it down. But time could become a factor here. 50 seconds, and Secret haven't made too much more progress. They do manage to find a lot of damage onto Stomping, though.
Absolutely. Not quite enough to finish him off, though. And, of course, a bullet is all you need sometimes. Hasn't always got to be. You have to be on full HP to get into a gunfight and come out on top. A headshot can be enough. Secret, once again, are playing this by the book, Tim. They are not trying to make any mistakes in this. They're making sure they're being very composed, getting that checklist ticked off as they work their way towards an execute here. Flashbangs to keep G2 away at bay, and they've also got smokes to play with themselves, not just the ones coming out of Alamau. As he starts an aggressive step out, he's loving going aggressive throughout this game, but he gets punished. Secret closing in that net. 3 kills come their way. Savage gets the last with the pistol as well. Again, both teams just so good at pushing the advantage.
I don't feel like the double hard breach ban has really paid off for G2 in this one. There's many like that one. I was looking at it thinking, you know, keeping it in the back of my mind. They've just used the hard breach gadgets. If they want to go in through these walls, it's going to be a vault animation. It's going to be a problem. But it hasn't really slowed Secret down. They've used those tin openers to get the line of sights that they need to force G2 to move around and pick kills up. They've done it a couple of rounds now where, you know, you would look at it and think maybe they'll miss it for office wall, for, you know, for getting the wall open into stock when you're on bar and gaming to prevent players playing inside of there. And they haven't. They've dealt with it really, really well with Secret, and they might just get their just desserts here with a 4-2 half.
May well do. Let's see if they can press on to it. They're going to be following in the footsteps of G2 on that first map. They've got to do it over bar and gaming. No big surprise at all here to see that G2 are getting themselves set up on this top floor. That little triangle of death that we often see getting established. And once again, seeing Stompin placing down those NGR ADSs, getting that rotation opened up and having a spot to play around here, dancing back and forth to give a real headache over towards the Secret side, who have dropped away from the shield in this round, Tim. They've got Savage going across on towards the Nook here. Let's see what he can do.
I'm not sure about the site choice in the last round for G2. Going down to basement, they lost it in round 1. They had bar and gaming available to them, which is now the site they're on. I suggested maybe they go there in round 5. You know, you've already won it. Get yourself a win on what is a very good site. You're then 3-2 in the lead. You're the one that's fighting for that advantage. Maybe then, you know, yeah, go to basement. I'd have gone down in kitchen myself, having one master and office, because it's going to be largely the same defense that you've already been successful with, you know, for master and office. But G2 opting for that basement again, and it really hasn't paid off for them. So let's see if they can level things up here before the half, or whether Secret can take advantage of, I don't think we can call it a mistake, but maybe that choice. Well, going for a jump out. Punished.
That's certainly a choice / mistake, Tim.
It is.
Stompin has tried, almost like Alamau in a way, has tried to have a lot of impact in early rounds. Think back to Vigil in the early rounds, for example. Like, he's tried to have this impact, hasn't quite managed to find it here on Chalet. Secret have just shut him down at every single turn. Trade coming back the other way, though, as Adrian falls here. The IQ being taken offline is far from the end of the world. Now we're going to play this dance around the laser gate, and by the looks of it, Tim, we might actually see G2 winning the second round here, where they've lost the entry.
It could be the case. 4 versus 2, Nora and Juve. The one thing, or the two things they've got going for them at the minute is they've got a lot of time. I'm going to make it 3 things. They've got a lot of time, they've got the first kill out of this situation, and they've got great utility. They've got those EE1D scans, they've got the Capitao, so they've got something to work with to get that diffuser down. They just need to find a bit of space, and I think at least one more kill before they do go for something like that, but they've got plenty of time on the clock to do so.
My worry is they had to use all the utility upstairs on that Capitao, so at this point it's just a walking gun. Can obviously do an awful lot with it. Very, very capable in the hands of Noah. Him and Juma both had a good start, but a C4 certainly going to shut down their hopes of getting this round over the line. Juma with it all to do. A couple of flashes in the scans to save with 45 seconds on the clock. G2, though, they ain't no amateurs, Tim. They're going to hold these cross angles. They'll wait for it to push on forward. There'll be a 2v1 swing, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, it's going to be hands-off keyboards at this point. Absolutely no need to be pushing forward, taking a swing or changing your angles. Just wait for them to come to you. Saying that, Duke does manage to hit Lyra in behind that soft wall. Knows that there's one on the default plant spot, but the cross is there. Blaz manages to pick it up. Doki had him supported as well. G2 take the round, and just like it did 28 days ago, the first half on Chalet between G2 and Secret finishes 3-3.
Yes, we've got a really weird way of following history, haven't we? It's, again, another one of those rounds. It's the same thing that decided the game for them back in the previous one, was that first time that G2 broke that curse, lost the entry, still won the round. They've done it here to close out the half. Could we be looking at a 1-round difference here that sees G2 walking over the line? Because if we do, that could be one of those rounds that we look back on and say, man, that was one of the times that the trend was broken and things turned around. Into our bans, though, as Army going to follow through first and foremost. No surprise to anybody. Still one of our most banned operators in the game. Grim, a very popular operator for a hell of a lot of teams. It's also worth emphasizing. Might look weird as a ban sometimes, but a lot of teams do utilize it, and it's a good one to take away. And then Clash, no surprise. Ying, no surprise.
You've spoken about G2 and their attacking prowess, 62.71%. So, you know, let's call it 63% between friends. If they can continue that trend, it gets them the win, because they should take 4 out of the 6 rounds. But Secret were unable, near 60% as well, they were unable to do so. It's now up to G2 to see if they can step up and get this one done, take the opportunity. First attack is going to be on to Bar and Gaming, so let's see how much... I don't feel Secret were ever particularly close on these, anywhere other than basement, to getting a plant down realistically. I think, you know, get them on this Bar and Gaming, get them on Dining Kitchen. It was about fighting for those kills. I'd like to see now G2 come in here and maybe play a slightly different game. We've seen them with a 25% plant rate so far, which isn't bad. It's, you know, it's not the best, but it's getting up there. Looking at Virtus Pro at 33%, that's the highest in the league. So, you know, it's pretty good. I'd like to see G2 continue that here. Get a hold of Library, get a hold of Mezzanine, use that verticality, get in and put the diffuser down.
See, that's what the focus is going to be. I mean, with how things are setting up, it looks like an execute is planned, otherwise you wouldn't have the Glaz on side. Very rarely do you see teams picking this operator just to waddle in, drop down a couple of independent smokes and hope to get a couple of kills through that. No, normally it's part of an execute of some kind. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Alamar, of course, the one to keep your eyes closest on, and that Blackbeard, that shield, of course, going to help with getting the plant down too. But I imagine for now it's rover hunting, Tim, and they want to try and find some of these players on the Secret side and force them off this top floor.
Yeah, Doki on the Twitch drones as well needs to make sure he's getting in there, taking out utility like that bulletproof camera we've just seen. There's a second one as well, so they're both still online at the minute. Gonna lose a Twitch drone there. Really need to be thinking about that intel, because of course we know in this game that intel is so important. G2 are definitely lined up around Library though. We can see their silhouettes. They are there in position. Are they able to do a more efficient job than Secret were when it came to clearing Lyra out of this position?
The problem is Adrian is inside of stocks. When they even do want to pull the trigger and say, let's go, they've got to find a way to deal with him at this point. Getting in above is certainly one thing and forcing him away. But now he moves towards the soft wall. He's got a C4 in hand if he needs to make use of it as well. They can try and pressure onto him, but at this point, Alamal's control is very flimsy because they've still got 2 players up on top floor here trying to pressure back onto G2 as they try and assume a little bit of control. See Lyra just took in a couple down as well. Now got to try and force these players away from Mez, and as of now, that hasn't happened just yet. You can see that he's raring to go, but they need Doki to line up on the office window. There we go. Now they can start putting some pressure on. And he's dead.
Not ideal as Noah steps out, manages to get that peak. Alamau does find Doom though, and can continue to mount the pressure with the Blackbeard. 3 versus 3 as we get 2 kills come in, and it is again a little bit of a lull in the round. We've had that bit of a bloodbath, and now both teams sit back and just try to take stock of what they've gained and what they've lost.
I mean, you're talking about taking stock, Tim. That's probably quite literally what G2 need to do here, is put some pressure on towards Adrian because he's still unmoved. I say that, it's not really the end of the world now. All the smokes have been used. They were in the back pockets of the dead players, in the Glaz and the Twitch. So it's certainly not the end of the world, but it's still a great position for him to be in. No C4 to play behind, but it is still a power spot they need to remove him from.
They do have the top floor control here, but they don't really have too much ability to do a lot with it. They've got the soft breach charges of Stomping. He's the one up there at the minute, so can open up some verticals to try and pressure these defenders. I'm not sure they're aware of this position of Savage, though, and if not, he's going to cut through them like a hot knife through butter. Des, he's let him slip by. That could be a bit of a mistake, but no, Mowgli has the cover. Savage, Adrian, one apiece, and Secret, in a matter of heartbeats, get the job done on their first defense.
Yeah, really well played by Savage there. Incredibly patient, because it would have been so easy to go and pressure onto that player inside of Mud and think, nah, I'll force him back. I'll win this 1v1. I'll clear out our backline. It's not a problem. The fact that he holds himself so patient there is what rewards him. I thought surely for a second he'd also find the player on the stairs to his right, but it was a teammate that secured that one. Just a really good closing passage of play coming out from Secret. G2 very, very thin on options due to a lack of utility. It's really smart stuff. Secret certainly not wanting to let G2 pull themselves ahead here. Instead, it's them to take the lead.
Another round that goes in favour of the team that got the entry kill. Only 2 overall across Consulate and Chalet have done otherwise. Only 1 of them on Chalet, and that was round 6 G2, both times being able to be the team that overturns that entry death and turns it into a round win. So moving on, Secret will be in round 8 going to Dining and Kitchen. Going to be much the same as it was last time around. This time they will give up Library rather than Solarium. They're going to be trying to hold on to Master and Office and try to keep that verticality.
All right. CSG can pull themselves up to 5 and 3 because we were having that whole conversation about round 9. Obviously, we're in round 8 now, but when we go into round 9, we'll have that conversation again. Does Secret pull themselves up to 6-3, or does G2 close that gap once more and find ourselves staying nice and close? You'd hope to God it goes pretty close, because I'd love to see that third map and see who really comes out as the Titan, at least for now, of the upper bracket. Still every chance that a team battles their way through the upper bracket and manages to bring you down, because the downside really in this game, you come into the final cold, you won't have played a game yet, whereas the team coming in probably will have on that last day. So that's the other consideration you've got to bring to it. No way he finds that as well. Alamo had no idea it was coming, but a yellow ping certainly gave the assist. June with the entry, and that's your Ash offline.
Yeah, not a big loss necessarily. Alamo as your RGL is now able to focus on the round, focus on everybody's POVs and try and pull all those separate threads together. But it is not ideal losing the manpower, if nothing else. No essential utility or anything has gone by the wayside. They will still be able to get done what they need to get done. Any electrification they can get through with the Maverick, so it's kind of all good. But G2 need to do 2 things. They need to open up this office wall so that they can force Doom away from this position on half wall, because whilst he's there, he's just a constant threat. He's going to swing this office door, and if he gets one, they are in big trouble. Nitro goes out,
no.
just catches the joist running across the top there and won't find its mark.
Would have been a very dead lawyer otherwise. Yeah, not the end of the world as well, because of course they've got Blaz also on the hard breach in this round. They know they want this wall open, and they've got just that. Now we'll have to drop away and focus on getting the main wall open downstairs, because of course we aren't attacking on the upstairs. It's just to try and force these roamers back away from playing on the vertical spots that will stop G2 from getting the plant down.
Yeah, exactly that. They want to go in behind that bomb chassis and look at getting the case down. An active June with another in the round. That's going to take down Doki. 5 versus 3 now, and Secret looks super comfortable on this defense. I've got to say, Des, G2 really not disrupting them very much. They've opened the wall, which has forced them back out of office, but you're expecting that as a defender. June has got 3 kills now, despite being forced back. He's just absolutely unstoppable. Flawless round for Secret, and they seem to be finding that extra 5, extra 10% when they need it most. That is a big advantage they've got on Chalet now. 5-3. It was their map pick. We know G2 like it, but Secret have certainly come to play on the defense.
What I like is, for the most part, obviously it was a bit different with Alamar in that round, but the prior round, our entry didn't come until there were like 75 seconds remaining. Secret aren't feeling the need to play like G2 did in the first half, where it's about being aggressive at windows and doorways and trying to shut down players before they're even inside the building. They're actually more letting G2 get in and are confident in their own ability to beat them when it comes down to a straight up 5 versus 5 sort of execute-esque scenario. And that obviously wasn't an execute in towards site itself, but it was G2 positioning to try and get control of that top floor. I just think Secret, as you said, look really comfortable right now. Don't look particularly phased by what G2 are throwing at them. They are the brick wall that G2 seemingly cannot get through, and that's exactly why we have this tack timeout, because they can feel the game slipping away from them, Tim. And in their mind, they want this done in 2. They do not want to be going to that third map.
It's just looking to solidify, just make sure that they can secure that showdown on Leia, which, to be honest, would be absolutely beautiful opener from June there. Just like I say, that bit just shows the value of intel. You know, that good drone use, just getting that accurate ping as well, and it's perfect for June to get that one going. But yeah, I think when it comes to Leia, this game could be absolutely anybody's. I really don't know who takes the advantage there. We've seen both of them play it. We've seen both of them win it tonight. It really is 50-50 coming into that one. G2 just want to get this done inside of 2, but it's a big ask for them now.
And one thing worth pulling up while we're in our little break here as well, I believe we're just going to get ourselves into a rehost. Doki's off for a little sip. Is how the entry battle has been going. There's only one player on the side of G2 that's currently positive on entry across the series, and that is Blaz at 2-0. Loira is 1-5. Doki's 3-4. Stompin's 1-2. They're not having the best time of things today so far. They're -4 overall. And I think you're seeing it build up more and more, especially on this map here, where we're really starting to see Secret gain steam and momentum, not letting G2 back into things. But across the series, that has been the narrative, is that generally we've seen Secret be the stronger team in the early round.
And when that is combined with stats that we keep talking about, whereby all but 2 of these rounds have been converted by the team that gets that entry kill, you start to see why that mounts up so much. You know, G2 struggling in that area. The last 4 rounds have been Mowgli, 2 for Noah, 1 for Doom. So Secret have had the 4 rounds back to back to take them to this point, and they're now 2 rounds up. G2 have got to find a way to get themselves involved in that early round, whatever it is. They've got to find something that gives them an edge and start winning those gunfights.
Absolutely. Well, here we are in a little tech pause, as mentioned, to get ourselves back into game in just a moment. Tim, I'll ask the inevitable question again. Are we seeing more garden work going on this week, or what are we saying?
You're obsessed with garden, Des.
At this point, I'm resigned to the law. I just feel like I've got to get myself signed in. Like, when are you hoping to have it done by?
Feels like a group project. Honestly, it's probably... There's still a serious amount of work to be done yet. It's probably going to be, I think, maybe early to mid-August. I think another 3 or 4 weeks.
I was going to say it's set to rain like non-stop for the next week or so as well.
That's part of the problem. Northern England always adds a little premium on when you're thinking about how long something outdoors is going to take. Because, yeah, rain will definitely have an impact. But, yeah, I've nearly got kind of 50% of it done. But the problem is the other 50% of it is putting an entire decking in. And it's going to be quite a big decking with 2 levels. So that's going to take me a good while and a good bit of woodworking to get all that in and get it done. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good few weeks before it's done yet, but I'm really hoping, because I've been sort of, you know, like there's a few memes that, you know, sort of sat looking out of the like raining window. I've been sort of sat there looking out of the sunny window thinking, oh, I wish I could go and sit out and like have a pizza or, you know, actually enjoy this weather we've been having. So I really want to get it done in time. So I'm going to be back on it tomorrow and out there grafting.
Well, we'll see how much graft you can do when it... I was about to say, if it's absolutely pissing it down, I don't think you'll be out there doing too much.
Rain or shine, I'll be out there doing something.
The lesson is, I'm actually up north for the next few days. I'm in Liverpool for the next 3 days. So if it starts raining near me, I'll be like, yeah, sound okay. We know what's going on now. Yeah. Oh, no, Tim's also enduring this right now. Or maybe I can send you weather warnings, actually. I can just be in the old WhatsApp group chat being like, Tim, you got 20 minutes, mate. Get back inside.
Yeah, I'm actually in Liverpool on Friday as well. So.
Yeah, what are you in Liverpool for, mate?
I'm involved in it just ends up a little live.
Here we go, more law.
No, I'm involved in quite a few different sort of panels and boards and advisory things for stroke care and stroke research. So I've got a little thing going on with one of those.
I got a stroke, Tim, you never said.
No, don't mention it often. I try to avoid it when I can.
No, fair play, mate, fair play. Where is Dez's cat? I actually don't know. I think they're both asleep. They're probably chilling. They get active during the day, but then around this time of night, they're normally asleep on the sofa, like above my missus, because she'll sit downstairs and watch TV, play PlayStation, whatever. One of them, like, just sleeps above her. The other one will go and lie. This is the crazy thing. We have our like dining table with our 4 chairs, and the cat will just go and sleep in this one chair non-stop. Like, very rarely the other 3. Just this one chair that he really loves. So we go to sit down in it, and obviously you pull it out, and it's no longer a grey chair. It is a white chair because there is that much fluff on it that you feel like you're sitting on a fluffy cushion. It's ridiculous. But they won't come and see me, no. They'll be too busy saying hello to her, I think. Just say that. I'm going to check if he's at the top of the stairs, because sometimes he does sit in the middle. I'll be back in a sec.
It does sound very similar to me in an evening, to be fair. You know, get a bit active through the day and then fall asleep on the sofa in the evening. Does sound very, very similar to my general process through a daytime. But I don't know if Des is going to reappear with a cat.
Production, I've got the cat.
There we go. We've got a cat.
Here's the cat. This is Yuna. She's very sleepy. She was sat outside our bedroom door wanting to go in and be cuddled by my partner, but she don't want none of it. I don't think she really wants me right now either.
I was going to say, she doesn't look too keen on being
she didn't look too happy about that, did she?
No.
See, with cats, the thing is, it's not like a dog where like you can go and get them excited and play with them whenever you want. You kind of have to do it on their terms.
Oh,
they
cats
don't want to be
100%,
there.
Yeah.
They don't want to be there.
Yeah, cats are 100% very, very picky like that. Whereas, like you say, a dog, like any time, you know, you go and stroke its ears and
she's purring now. She's happy now. She's sat and purring. She's happy now. There we go.
Maybe she just didn't want to be on the broadcast.
Maybe not. I don't blame her, to be fair either. And she's left a whole lot of fur on my lap as well, which is always good to know. Wonderful. Thank you. Right, we're back into game. Let's get on with it then, shall we? This is that critical round 9 that we so often speak about. If they win this one, they're up 6-3, a 3-round difference to G2 and a single round win to get them over the line. That was really all they need to get it done. But G2 could bring this a little bit closer by winning this round, sending us up to just a 1-round difference. At that point, it becomes a real race towards 7. And honestly, at that stage, I started to think maybe overtime is abound. Maybe G2 picked themselves up, not forgetting we had a attack timeout before we had the tech pause. This could be their time to turn things around.
Let's see if we can. It's again one of them situations. I spoke about it last time out on Consular. You know, minimum 1 to 2 rounds now for G2. They don't want to let Secret get on to 6 this soon. It starts asking. It's not impossible, but it just starts asking too much of you realistically. You know, to get those 3 rounds back to back without mistakes. So they just need to try their best here, get this one done, get back within touching distance, and just again put Secret under a bit of pressure. I don't feel like Secret have been under a lot of pressure in the last few rounds.
Senior, I was going to say, does he spin his drone there and catch out Doom? Yes, he does. And the pre-fire comes on through. He just knows Alamau all too well at this point. In his head, rent-free. The Dockerby is gone. The dream operator to catch out. He didn't even have a chance to use a single phone call.
Oh, it's an absolute bloodbath at the minute. Okay. Doom is the final kill to come into Stomping, as we see Alamo, Blaz and Stomping all taken out for G2. Loira as well, and Secret, they know blood's in the water here. Des, they're starting to run away with their map pick. They're looking more and more impressive as this one goes on. Just like G2 looked great on Consulate, Secret are absolutely dominating Chalet now, and it is looking like we are going to get that 3rd map of Lair.
Yep, unless we can see G2 pull out some magic across these next 3 rounds. And again, given for that round, it was after attack timeout, after a bit of a pause, a little bit of a momentum breaker. Secret has still come out and won it anyway. It looks like this is definitely going to be their map, and it's all going to get decided on Lair. I hearted it the way you did then, Lair. Because you make it sound like you're saying the word layer. You say L-A-Y-E-R. Layer. Going to layer, Des. Layer. Oh, sounds so weird.
I had syllables where I want. There's nobody's going to stop me.
How do you live sounding like this every day?
Nobody's going to hold me down. Well, everybody sounds the same where I'm from, so it just sounds normal, doesn't it?
It applies to all of you. It's a question of asking for the collective, not just the one person.
The thing is, it just means that we're very smart people, Des. It's just contextual. You know, if you say to me, if you come in and say to me, I'm recognising context without even thinking about it. You come in and you say, oh, they're going to play a layer. I don't think that you're talking about the layers of a cake. You know, I know that you mean layer, as you might say. But, you know, if you say to me, oh, that cake's got a couple of layers, you know, it's just contextual to me, Des. I know what's going on.
10 seconds remaining.
I don't think that was the win you thought it was, buddy.
5 seconds to go.
I knew as I was saying it that it wasn't.
You knew you were digging yourself down a dark end and just like, I've got to finish this out now, haven't I? I've got to go all the way.
I'll see it through.
Absolutely.
I've told you before, my accent is actually quite soft compared to a lot of people. That I purposefully, over years, have softened it a bit for the broadcast. So there's lots of things that I don't say that are really common around here that would absolutely blow your mind.
Oh, 100%. I've got 0 doubt. Anyway, let's see if G2 can blow some minds. 3 rounds is what they've got to win, and they're coming in with a set-piece play. We spoke about this earlier on when you see a glass on side. Rarely is it to be an independent... Oh, my God. I just said rarely. Oh, no. It's so baked in. I'm so screwed. Oh, no. It's like a virus. Help me. But yes, with the glass on side, you're rarely going to do this to try and play like an individual player by yourself. You want to try and make a set-piece player work around a team. That said, of course, they've got the smokes in the back pocket of Doki and those smoke bolts, and the 2 in the back pocket of Alamau. 2 sets in and Doki's gone, so now they've lost that key utility from the Capital. The round's already looking chalked.
Just looking to try and get something here, Loira. Get them back into things. But not able to find anybody. Again, Secret, I feel, have done that really well. They've got the opening kills in now the last 6 rounds in a row, and they've managed the round really well from that point onwards. However, as I say that, inevitably the Cast the Curse strikes. G2 get 2. Noah and Doom off the board. 4 versus 3.
Surely this is not what starts the avalanche of a comeback for G2. Surely not when they've got rid of Doki. Taking away some of the most critical pieces of utility that this lineup relied on. They've managed to get those 2 kills, as you say. The last call coming on through there from the Dockerby of Stomping. That's all they can really rely on. Still half a round to play with though, Tim. And they probably feel like they've forced everyone back, but there is a player inside of Mud. They're going to find him here. Steps out now, going for a swing at the same time. Takes 2 quick peeks out there. They know that he's here. And Mowgli still beats Stomping. He really ain't him today, Tim. But Mowgli, he's just starting to cook.
Sends the nitro up. It is going to be shot out mid-air, so that leaves give G2 something. Alamai manages to pick up Adrian with the glass. 3 versus 2. Exothermic is going to open the hatch. 50 seconds left to go, so G2 have got plenty of time, and they've got the utility. They've still got some smoke canisters in hand, so Alamai can put that thermal scope to use and protect anybody that goes in looking for the plant. Blaz currently with diffuser in hand.
Mo probably not aware that Alamau's racing around right now on a drone trying to figure out what's going on. If he went aggressive, maybe able to find him, but also probably at risk there of being caught out himself. G2, it's a case of sniffing out where the 2 players are. There's only 2 of them to deal with, but they can't find Mowgli. He could be a bit of an X-factor for them here, and sure enough, start stepping on forward. All's nice and close here, and Alamau might be about to expose himself. There we go. Slip the net. C4 over the top. Mowgli gets 2, makes it 3 in the round, and might be about to win this one for Secret. Loira with it all to do. He's got an Angel of Death above him and a player on site with him. This one ain't winnable. Secret are going to take the map 7 and 3, and we're going to map 3 to see who makes it into the final.
Deal for both of these, as Leo has said. 4-win streak for Secret, 10-win streak for G2. Both won it today. Surely this one's going to deliver an all-timer of a matchup.
Sure. Bans coming through first and foremost. Second ones to follow are going to be a double hard breach ban again coming out. I forget if this was on our last map or the one prior, but I know that we've seen a double hard breach ban of this ilk coming out earlier on, but in fact, I believe it was the Ace and the Thermite that came out, trying to force the other side in towards playing a lot of the banner and, of course, Maverick. It's interesting how we see the variety of bans that have come out. Yeah, one thing worth reflecting on real quick, Tim, is that new ban system. We've heard a lot of players speak about it. It sounds like the whole reaction overall has been very, very positive, and I've really enjoyed seeing the variety of bans that we're now getting, rather than, you know, seeing the same 3 or 4 operators banned away nearly all the time.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think the way that teams can focus in on specific areas, so, you know, they can focus in on the shields or the hard breach or the trap operators, and they can really kind of, you know, pinpoint a team's strength and then damage that and then weaken that. I think it's been fantastic. I love it, and I love the 4th round ban and being able to maybe adapt to what's going on in front of you, and that might go in a different way to what you originally think it's going to. Yeah, I think it's all great stuff. It's just added another layer of strategic depth.
I love these bans, by the way. It's just worth noting they're basically target banning Adrian, because his 2 most played operators are hard breachers, Havana and Thermite. After that, it's like a Ram, for example, and we start stepping down through the tracks then into what else he might play. But obviously a little bit of a target in towards that. Part of it is 100% going to be map dependent. You won't see every team banning, for example, these 2 operators way against Adrian on every single map. But here on there, it makes a lot of sense when you've got, for example, Ops wall to contend with on that top floor, Mass wall that you want to try and get opened up as well. It will force you in towards a Maverick, which is exactly what Adrian is playing with. But given there are no C4s on the side of G2, there's no real strong intent here by the looks of it to try and kill him while he's on this wall. It's more about forcing them to have to slow things down that little bit more.
Doki is holding an advanced position here, looking to play behind Mask Wall, but if they do start breaching this, I think he's looking to just get aggressive on it.
He's just going to spray through it when it falls away,
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm going to say it could be very dangerous here for Secret, because as they open this up and take it away, he's just taking a little pot shot through there, sending out the impact nades as well, just trying to do any damage. He's taken a little bit off Adrian. He might have actually been better waiting for that reinforcement to drop away and then swinging and just spraying through the soft wall.
Looking like a risk if he needs to try and get that corner away. He'll try and do his very best, but you can see the challenge coming on through. You and I speak a lot about who the Picassos of Siege are, Tim, and whether or not they can get this done in a nice, clean, straight line. And with that not being done, this is all time being chewed away by Secret. Half the round's now gone, and they haven't got the wall open yet.
It is, and if you go, as I've said countless times, if you are going to be relying on Maverick for opening walls at any point, and I'm not saying they haven't, but you got to make sure that you get to a point that you can do it first time, every time, because otherwise you end up in this kind of situation, and they might yet end up losing somebody over it.
They really want to try and protect Doki here so you can keep on challenging on towards Mask, and it's the right idea. I mean, there's 2 players from G2 that are looking to support him here while he's got this main focus going onto the wall itself. They just don't want him to get pushed and shot in the back or anything too crazy. So for now, G2 are holding on, and Secret very laboriously, very slowly are starting to get some way into this round, but without that mass wall being opened up, they probably realise that they're cooked. They're going to have to go and force their way into ops, and that is not the way you want this to go.
No, not at all. It's not going to be easy for them now. It's going to be very, very one-sided, one-dimensional. They know that Stomping's getting chased down by Savage, so if they can get this opening kill, maybe they can build from there. But no, he's got Dorky holding his back. Manages to find Mowgli. That's the entry. 30 seconds left to go, and Secret have got to get moving. G2 have been able to dip back. They've been able to hold the distance so that the Blitz can't have that big impact, so they can't just flash everybody out. Adrian does manage to find Blaz, but it's likely too little too late. 15 seconds left to go. Stomp and Lyra one apiece, and G2 look very solid on that first defense.
Yeah, Secret really trying to make the best of a bad situation there. Again, forcing 4 players in towards ops. Never really going to end up too pretty for you. But the way they played it wasn't bad. They had the smoke coming down, then didn't expect Doki to be able to challenge them as they went charging on past the Blitz, being that spearhead, trying to force Stomp him back. But they realized that once he got down the corridor, you're looking then at 2 or 3 different angles that you can get swung from. It's never going to be a safe spot to be in, even with a player coming back up Rocket Stairs, for example. Like, G2 knew that without mass wall being opened up, that was going to be their main point of ingress, and they set themselves up to deal with it really well. So great adaptation by G2 there when they realized they got the checkmate on Secret. They're the ones who need to do a little bit better. You know, eyes will naturally fall towards Adrian here, and how the hell he managed to make Swiss cheese out of that breach.
Bomb located by attackers.
I think we do expect the defenders, of course, to be having a bit of an advantage here on there, especially when it's teams who are very good on this map, like G2 and Secret as well. But as much as Secret can kind of rely on a good second half, you feel,
10 seconds remaining.
I think it's just mentally very important that they don't allow themselves to get too far behind. I think 2-4 is a minimum for them here. That's going to be the scoreline they have to chase, and getting those 2 rounds as soon as possible then gives them the opportunity to maybe grab an extra one and give themselves that advantage into the second half. So they need to be careful. I think, you know, losing, say, the first 3 defenses, G2 going an entire rotation, big problem for Secret.
Sure, but we'll put that one down to a bad bit of hard breach being done and see how things get reset here going into round 2. G2, yes, they look comfortable, but it was largely Secret's own fault for why they couldn't get their way through that round. Have to start the way up on the top floor here and get themselves cleared on through. First and foremost, be wary of any would-be roamers trying to cause a bit of bother for them. There are a bunch of players, as you can see in the bottom left corner of your screen. There's 5 players from G2 all hovering on this top floor right now, looking to basically ask questions of the side of Secret, force them to have to come in and clear them out before they even start thinking about the site.
Barbed wire getting knocked is going to tell G2 that somebody is looking at that ops door. They're going to be ready for the challenge. The drone will tell them it'll be coming soon. Lyra knows that he's going to be peeking out from behind that reinforcement pretty soon to take a fight on. One underneath, just trying to clear him out, make it difficult for him to play in that position for the time being. Lyra is holding on. He's taking shots from absolutely everywhere and decides, you know what? Enough's enough. He's going to live to fight another day. Dips himself away.
Sure, and that's all you need to do at this point, Tim, because they're burning through things like the Dockery calls, they're burning through drones, they're demanding utility out of Secret to get control of parts of the map that, although, yes, they enable the execute, aren't actually the execute itself, so this is certainly not a bad spot to be in. They'll be happy they managed to shoot through a call as well, and for now, every player is still on this top floor. Half the round has gone, and Secret haven't made the move.
Yeah, this is good from G2, like you say, just burning a lot of time, burning a lot of utility. That next Dockery call is online, is going to go out. We'll tell them that there's plenty of G2 defenders up on this top floor for them to fight with, but the question is, can they find any? Lyra thought he'd missed his shots, manages to pick up 2. That is big for G2. 4 versus 3. June does take him down, but the damage is done, and now they've got to rely on the Grim to get that execute done.
Very critically, no utility left, and look at this from Mowgli. He's stacked up, he's waiting to find one, but no! Stomping into the little dip down to the left knee and a 1 pump to the chest. Down goes Mowgli, a 4v2. G2 in full control here and really making Secret sweat.
Yeah, it's not looking good for them in this round, just as it didn't in the last. G2 in full control of this site. Like you said, they held on to top floor for the longest time. Now, Secret are able to start doing a little bit of verticality, but look at G2's players, Stomping, Storage Hall, Alamo, Skybridge. They're still up on that second floor, and they're just waiting. They're just waiting for the time to tick down, and then they're going to run back in and retake it. Secret have never had confident control over the top floor, and that's what happens. Great play from G2. Understand understanding with that man advantage that they can afford to leave 2 up there for the retake, that Secret will have no choice but to both drop down realistically. And even if they don't, even if one stays up there, Stompin and Alamau have still got the 2v1 on them, and they're likely to win it and then be able to use the verticality anyway. Great stuff from G2.
It's a really good round there, I think, showing the power of holding on the vertical, of the closing kills that came in. They had about 10 different directions to try and challenge onto there, did Secret. Never going to be pretty for them. But then the retake also upstairs was the key one. Like, in this moment here, if Modi gets a kill there and starts putting pressure on towards those who are upstairs, different conversation we might start having. But I just think that once he fell down, Secret knew that they were short on players. They had no real hope of getting that one back over the line. And looking at it, Tim, that trend of whoever gets the entry comes out on top continues. There's only been 1 round per map so far, but when a team doesn't get the entry, that they then go on to win the round. G2 have got both entries so far, won 2 rounds, and in pretty dominant fashion as well. Only 4 players have died across those 2 rounds. Secret have got to put their ideas up here. Otherwise, we could be looking down the barrel of a 4-0, a 5-0, or dare I say, a 6-0 if we carry on at this pace.
It's starting to run away from them quickly, as I said. And as much as they're going to have a good defense, they need to not give themselves a mountain to climb. This, for me, really important round. Secret win this. It's okay. It doesn't. There's no panic required. They're 2-1. They do the same again, 4-2, and they're going to be confident that they can match that in their half. If G2 can get this one on the basement lockdown, it starts to become a big problem for Secret. I'm just looking. G2 have got 3 players up above the site at the moment, playing in and around that mid floor, including the clash of Stompin. They are making this as difficult as possible for Secret to take anything. They are pausing them challenges, pausing them problems everywhere that they want to come into the building. They have to do something, clear somebody, use utility in order to do so.
Absolutely. Well, here we go. Let's see if they can move a little bit quicker in this round. It's the key one I'm looking for, because we've got to about, what, about a minute remaining in the round before we've seen kills come through across the last 2. It's been very, very slow going from Secret. Certainly, I'd say by the part of G2 being willing to waste the time, use a lot of utility in which to do so, but also a degree where Secret have got a little bit hung up at points as well. So I want to see them being willing to get up in G2 spaces, take some fights a little bit earlier on, give themselves more space to then reset and start thinking about the execute rather than trying to make it work in a 5 versus 5. Whoop.
Just taking little pop shots out of that Maverick call. See whether Savage can get the job done at this time that Adrian couldn't up on that top floor, and they can get the reinforcement off and give themselves access. There's no other hard breach options for them realistically, so they are very reliant on that Maverick getting anything done that they want. G2 still able to keep a player upstairs. Blaz just hiding himself away in Rocket at the minute. Just keep that in the back of your mind. He could well have a big impact as this round continues if he holds on to that vertical.
Look at that.
There we go, clash in position, and we've seen how often a clash is an absolute nightmare to deal with, especially when you start running out of utility towards the back end of the round. It can make life really tough. Take, for example, how Mowgli has got no grenades left here. They don't have an easy way of getting through this clash, so at this point, Zombies just going to stand here and wait for him to push and to step out, get a quick peek and get a kill. Saying that, up top, June's got 2. That's certainly a way to get the round moving. 2 players, Gordon, Blaz and Loira both gone. A lot of work to be done by these final few players, and yes, forced away by the vertical. Good play by Secret here, too. Like I say, getting those kills earlier has given them more time here to work with.
Yeah, I said to keep your eye on Blaz. He was an important factor, and Secret have dealt with him well. They've recognised his presence above and the threat that it posed. They've neutralised that, and now they've been able to use the vertical. G2 are fighting back. Will it be enough, though? 1 versus 3 now. It's all up to Stompin, and he's on the clash, so doesn't even have a main primary. This is going to be a big ask, especially with that diffuser going down as well. He manages to find 1.
Ooh,
cannot find the second. Mowgli with the kill, and Secret get themselves... I can't overstate the importance of that round. Getting 2-1, they can now not relax, but just sit back and take the pressure off a little bit. Do the same again. They've got their 4-2 half, and then they worry about it on their defense. It gives them something to build from.
Sure, having our bands come out here as well. Wonder what we'll see. Maybe an Azami coming out from the attacking side. Maybe the Bandit, interestingly. They only saw that, of course, in that very last round, but early enough to put the fright up them. Want it taken offline, taken away from them. These things like the Azami that we've seen in 2 of those 3 rounds will continue to be prevalent. But I agree with you, Tim. Winning those offsites, I think, will be enough for them if they get to that second half of the 4-2. Secret taking an attack timeout, because actually they're saying, no, we don't want the 4-2. We want to be winning one of those primary sites as well. We want to come out of this at least at 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, 2 more rounds for them would be phenomenal, really, if they can get that to a point where they are taking an even share. 4-2, you know, in their favour would be an absolute dream. But the way G2 have been playing, I don't think that a 4-2 for Secret is likely. I think a 3-3 is doable. And yeah, I think avoiding the 5-1 is the real key at this point, because G2 have looked very good so far. But Secret definitely woke up on Lair in that last round. I like I said, the attention to detail. They didn't let Blaz slip through the net. He was hiding himself away up there in Rocket. If he gets onto the flank and gets the kill onto the Buck, you've got big problems. But they were well aware of that potential, and they got it over the line, got the kill, kept control of the site. They knew everything that was going on in that round.
Absolutely. All right, let's see exactly what this timeout does for them and how it gets things moving. So we'll straight back into things in just a second. Maybe a quick tech pause first and foremost, Tim. Right, garden time. Let's have another conversation. What else can I ask you about a garden? Avastria has been going. Avastria, when you expect to finish? What else would you like to tell us about your garden, Tim? I'm sure you've got many things you want to say. What's been the most surprising part of it so far?
Most surprising part?
Yeah.
What's been the most surprising part? I don't know about surprise. I've been reading a bit about vegetables, and I found out that I believe I'm right in saying this. If you grow carrots, you have to change your soil if you want to grow anything else, because once you've grown carrots in it, nothing else will grow in it.
Are they just like nutrient vacuums or something?
I don't. Well, I assume that more carrots will grow, so I don't know whether it's maybe something that they put into the soil or I don't know. I need to do further reading, really. But that was a bit of a surprise to me. Yeah, I was. Okay. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that. I didn't know that. So I think I'm going to go garlic and potatoes. You know, maybe get some ingredients, you know, so a few ingredients of a nice stew going in there. But we won't be getting anything out of the ground until next year now.
All right, fair enough.
I haven't got any ground yet. It's still an empty planter at the minute. I've no soil and compost in there. But garlic you can plant. If you can get these vegetable calendars, Des, and I think they're quite cool actually. And it tells
calendars.
You, it's color coded. So you've got all the months of the year, and then you've got all these different vegetables down the side, right? And they're color coded as to like whatever colours you want. Let's use siege colours. So you'd have like blue would say this is the time that you can plant. So next to garlic it might say it'd have a blue line across like October and November, and then March and April, because they're the 2 times a year that you can plant garlic. And then it'd have an orange line for the time of year you can get stuff out of the ground. And they make these calendars, and it'll have like broccoli and carrots and potatoes and garlic and everything on there. It tells you when you can plant stuff and when it'll be ready. So I'm going to get one. I'm going to put it on the wall.
You know what I think it is, mate? I think
cool like
all
that.
Those months of the talent stack playing Farming Sim has just got you so ready for this.
I genuinely, on the back of that, I find farming very fascinating. If you look into it, like, you know, it's obviously the absolute lifeblood of any country, really. You know, is putting food on people's tables and having it available. So yeah, you know, like I find it. We were out recently, and around me, there's been a lot of harvesting going on, which I thought was quite early. Like in July, usually it'd be more like August, September, but it's because of the weather. They're just taking advantage of it, because if they now get a lot of rain and the moisture gets too high in the crops, they might never be able to get them out of the ground, you see. Certain crops, they'll just spoil because they've got to be at the right moisture level to come out. So yeah, they've been working through the night round me to try and get everything out of the ground. I find it fascinating. Anyway,
well, I know that one day I'm going to come on to yours at some point, mate, and you'll have about 3 tractors lined up on your front drive. Now, I don't know where the size this front drive is going to come from, but you will have a drive of that size. You'll have all the utilities, you'll have everything ready to go, and I'll be like, oh my god, Farmer Tim's on the go.
I genuinely looked into it last week to see if you could do, like, you know, an experience day, but drive tractors. I'd love it. It'd be so much fun.
Most of it be like a Formula car or something. You're like, nah, tractor, brilliant.
Get me in a I think it'd be so much fun getting in the old tractor. It'd be well good. Anyway.
Yes. Speaking of tractors and charging on through, Tim, it might be time for Savage to try and plow him down with this blitz. Of course, we've seen him do a lot of work with shields previously. Not really had the success they're looking for across those first few rounds. So I want to see if they can do something a little bit different here. They've stepped away from playing on the Maverick as well. Just the ace of Mola coming along. But instead, saying no Swiss cheese on the walls, thank you very much. We'll stick to opening up walls the more conventional way.
Rotero drone, the little hole has been made for it. Good teamwork. Going to send it in, get rid of the barbed wire. That will open up the sky bridge approach. Doesn't get the Vulcan canister. That's pretty big for G2, actually. It gives them something to work with unless the next Rotero is going to go in and clear it out. It gives them something to at least hold that push back. Cleaner breach. They are going to get mask wall this time. The Maverick's been taken away by G2 on the ban as well, so they didn't have a choice but to go for the ace. Mowgli is going to get that opener onto Doki as well. Nice kill for Secret, just aggressing in through the breach, and that is a really good first step for them. That's the Vulcan canister gun that I picked out.
Absolutely. Again, that's trend of watching the entries. For those who are being keen, you're looking at this already and putting your feet up and going, I ain't gonna watch the rest of this round. I know that Secret are winning it. We've seen how it's gone all series long. Unless it's one of those rare rounds where things do get twisted on their head, as we've seen G2 do twice throughout the series so far. Still, good pressure being shown here. 2 minutes have gone through, and at this point, he was looking the wrong way! Alamau surprises Savage, yes, gets traded out just after. I see that side swipe coming from Moby, but the damage has been done. The spearhead, the Savage on that blitz is gone.
You got to wonder if Alamai might have been better flipping to the shotgun rather than trying to reload the secondary there. He gets caught out and taken down. That loses them the smoke and kill. After kill comes in from Secret Adrian with the last, and that levels things up 2-2, and G2 now find themselves with a little bit of backs to the wall going on here. Secret looking better on the attack after that tack timeout that they've had, and that for me secures the minimum that they require on this attack of Lair. That's the 2 rounds they needed, and what a position to be in. They've got it done with 2 to spare. They can now go for the bonuses.
And what a great attack as well, Tim. To begin with, again, it's Moby. I speak about this guy all the bloody time. It feels like he was the driving force in this round for his team. Got the entry, got this second kill, was in spots to try and put pressure on the third as well. He really has started to make a lot happen for his team in that round. And then it's been about the rest of them all gathering around and kind of like just crushing G2 in the middle of all 4 or 5 of them that's led to that outcome. There's not a lot you can do when you're being shot at from 2 or 3 different angles at the same time. So it was a really good, well-formulated round by Secret. Trying that same site again, G2 aren't ready to leave this top floor yet. They feel they know what went wrong in that last round and feel they can course correct, because Tim, looking at it, they'll probably say, all right, Mowgli's had a bit of a god round there. That doesn't happen twice in a row.
I know. I'm not putting it all onto Alamau. There were other things that happened there. Alamau was on the smoke, and if he is in a tight engagement, he knows if they're going to push him from door or they're going to push him from the rotate over his left shoulder. And look, it's easy to say, sat here, when you're not in the heat of the moment. He gets a great kill onto the blitz. You feel if he just flips to the shotgun, he wins that next fight easily. One blast at that range is going to be a definite down, probably a direct kill, and that leaves Alamau alive with smoke canisters in hand. G2 have man advantage, and maybe it just changes the trajectory of that round. But Secret, they took advantage of the situation, rushed him quickly, made him think too fast, and he wasn't able to get that switch done, and they took advantage of that, got the ground, got the kill, and worked very well forward from there. So G2, I think they need 2 rounds here back to back.
We'd hope to see that, but I'm sure Secret have other ideas in mind. Again, looking for that 4-2 is now what they're pushing for. It's no longer about maybe coming out of this down with only 2 rounds on side. Now it's about the opportunity cost of taking those extra 2 rounds away here when they have the opportunity to do just that. As at least for now, digging in, expecting something from below. Maybe, of course, Nathan comes tailing up through that hatch if they're not too careful. But now that certainly isn't the case. Secret once again taking that slow and steady approach to rounds. Don't feel the need to go crazy explosive forward inside 60 seconds like we saw quite a lot on Chalet, and a little bit back on that first map of Consulate 2. Lair has shown a much slower pace of them, which I think many would have expected. G2 certainly did, and Salamau said they're a little bit more aggressive, a bit more pacey as a team.
Twitch Drone is going to have a job ahead of it to go in and take out those Vulcan canisters. 1 minute 20 left on the clock, so if there's enough of them left, it could be a real sticking point for Team Secret here to be able to get in and get aggressive enough. We see Capitau's utility being used to just force Stockton away from that corner that he was holding, but they don't force him far enough away as he takes down Mowgli. Does get dropped down to down, but not out himself, but picked up pretty quickly as well. 5 versus 4. G2, a minute to hold on.
All right, then. It's that entry that we were looking for, though, right? Same again here. Doom, he gets the air quotes trade onto Loira. He's down as a result, but will be recoverable. So a 4 versus 4. Things are still on for Secret here. Start burning our way through time. Alamal gets another of those shuts down. Noah, not the best, as they try and push into this top floor, Tim, but they're getting shut down at every single turn. G2, they put up that iron wall. They force back Secret. You can't find anything here. Doom with 1 HP to his name and 4 players to kill. G2 stand tall, and they move back up in the lead again.
Yeah, they went back to that top floor, obviously confident that they could get it done. They do exactly that. Secret unable to get anywhere near site this time, realistically. You know, last time we saw them getting mask wall open, getting the kill onto Dorky, pushing in from the sky bridge, finding kills onto Alamau, and then sweeping through site. Just unable to get anywhere near this time. And G2 get the first of what I think is 2 very important rounds for them. They want the 4-2 half on defense here, because we know that they may struggle a little bit more on the attack, because Secret are a very good lair team despite G2's performance in attack so far. It's not going to be easy to find rounds in the second half. Need to get as many as they can now. So it's going to be their final defensive round. I expect a strong top floor hold from G2 again. We've seen that from them already. When trying to hold these mid floors, they like to stack. I think they had all 5 up there at one point, actually, back in round 2 when they were holding onto this site. How are Secret going to go about breaking that down?
All right. We get that 3-3 or a dominant half for G2. We will find out now. And Tim, we've seen this site played so many times with this operator lineup now. That sends coming in from Noah. We've seen a lot of teams make strong use of that. In fact, we saw it in one of our series yesterday. And what I'd really like to believe it was coming out of Virtus Pro, their response was to bring along a lot of impact nades. And every single time we saw a sense light screen go down, immediately we had impacts coming out. So there was never an ability for a plant to really go down. The other thing I look at on this lineup from Secret is they've got no smokes in back pocket. We've seen teams pair up the sense light screens with smokes going down. So it's absolute chaos, and there is no easy ability for the other side to be able to respond. I'm just a little bit worried here that we don't really have those tools available to G2, and so you might find Secret able to get these light screens down relatively unimpeded.
Stomping absolutely insistent on taking that Selma charge out, and I think did probably about as much damage to the wall in doing so as the Selma itself might have done, but he got his man. He took that utility out. Look at this though, plant's already going down. They've just created a little bit of space. G2, I think they've been caught on the hop. They're unsure. June with an important kill. They did stop the plant going down. They did lose Stomping and the Warden, importantly, in the process, but 4 versus 4, and everybody just has to back off a little bit.
Normally I would say, yeah, I'd be worried about the Warden, but I'm not worried about it all here because there's no smokes to play behind, and of course can't see through those light screens. So it's not the end of the world for them here. Normally it would be, but I think based on the gadgetry that Secret have brought along, again, no smokes, G2 won't be too worried about that. Of course, right now they don't know it. They could be expecting smokes to come on through. The most important thing for me, Tim, is we used the majority of those light walls there as a bait. So while the plant went down in one spot, the light screens are going down elsewhere as sort of a distraction, but G2 weren't falling for it. They managed to get the stop, and now Secret are sort of back to the drawing board to figure out what the hell they can do to get this round back on their side.
Well, the problem that creates you as well by using those screens as a bit of bait elsewhere is maybe they're not in the optimal position for putting a plant down. We have a direct trade as Lyra picks his man around the corner. Savage does manage to return fire. That's going to be the ace gone though, so however many Selmas were used is all that will be used this time around. And as I was saying, if Noah has one more screen left, it needs to go in a very specific location if they want to use it to be able to assist in getting that plant down. Blaz, you feel he just gave himself away a little bit then, just strays into the corridor, no real need. And Secret peek around the corner and get themselves an important kill and start taking that top floor control.
Oof. Here we go, Mowgli and June, they just turn on and it's so hard to stop them. A lot of round might have been a bit short off the back of that plant attempt. They've still managed to keep themselves moving forwards, and Doki's got it all to do. A C4 to his name, a sprint across sight from Mowgli there. That was a little bit of a strange one. Gives himself up for free, gets a couple of return shots down, and now the pressure is building, but June is there for the collect, who, by the way, is having a great series, 26-20. He currently stands at top of his team for EPS.
I think Secret have just taken a reasonable advantage there, getting the 3-3 half on attack. It starts putting the pressure on G2 if they want to be the ones making it through to that grand final and securing a minimum extra of 100 SI points. will mean whoever gets into that grand final, second place is the worst they can finish, and that is 150 SI points versus the 50 that will be earned for third, fourth, and fifth place. So G2, they've got it all to do. They're going to head on to the attack. We're going to see the bands come out. It's going to be the Electro Bros go on one side, and Secret will take out Monty and Ying. Two absolutely killer operators on the attack that G2 are going to have to live without.
I still love that you're rocking the Electro Bros. Makes me so happy.
That's locked in now. That's like the salvation stations on Thunderbird.
Absolutely.
It's a big...
They were pretty banging back then. Yep. For G2, this is one of those where I'm looking at the stats on this overall. Like, their actual entry rate isn't too successful on this map overall. Their attacking win percent sits at about 60%. So a little below what we've seen from them previously. But one of those I'm looking at and thinking with a plan percentage of about 30% that you are going to see them focused on that objective more often than not. And it is a map that lends itself to it. You saw the same coming out of Secret on their attacks. There were a lot of attempts to get the diffuser down. Outside of rounds where it looked completely cooked and they had to rush, for example, through ops on towards Mez and just try and fry out and catch people out as best they can. So for G2, I think pace is be the name of the game here. They've already shown across the last two maps they can rattle Secret a little bit by moving pretty quick. And I think trying to play to the same style they saw in the first half where things slow down a lot probably isn't really going to be G2's style here, especially not on a map like this, where, as they say, it's probably their favorite and best map right now.
Straight away moving around the building. Default cam's taken down. Nothing too surprising there. Just looking, there's only one on drone at the minute. Just going to be Alamai. Likely having a look at a pre-placed drone that's going to allow them to head straight on into the building. He's going to sit on there, and he's actually going to be joined by Loira and Doki on the drones as well now. So G2 looked like they were getting really aggressive to begin with. Take their foot off the gas a little bit. It's going to be Doki first on into the building.
Shock horror there. Honestly, the entry for his team, but alongside Loira, I think is going to be the big focus for him. Of course, he's running around on the Deimos. Pair that up with Alamar on the Blitz, and you've got a pretty lethal combination, but as we've remarked a few times, one of those key weaknesses of Deimos is that you can use them as bait, essentially. The player that gets targeted, oh no, I'm in trouble. Before you know it, you're getting stabbed in the back by someone who's waiting for you to run past, essentially, and it can be a little bit of a freebie. But now getting yourself set up below, though, of course, wants to go fishing by the looks of it, Tim, except reverse fishing. Wants to go looking in from below, start poking some bullets up through the floor with that Vendetta, and hopefully catch out one or two of these anchors on the side of Secret that are dug in.
Alamite on the blitz, looking to chase out a few of these extended hold defenders from their positions. Just try and force them away, force them back into sight. Drone will see the Tachanka. Gonna have to see, I think that Shumika launcher just coming into action pretty soon. We hear the Toxic Babes coming off to, again, just delay. Force G2 to waste as much time as possible here. Force them to use as much utility before they get to the site. Going to be a little bit of damage done to Doki as well. This player underneath gets absolutely deleted. Doki, beautiful headshot onto Mowgli.
And that was the only real threat to them on this floor as well. That's the main player. Mowgli's been trying to stab them in the back a little bit. And as it carries on, Blaz gets nowhere. A trade between the two, in fact, as well. But this only helps G2. They've still maintained that numbers advantage. They can go 1-for-1 for the rest of the round and still come out on top at this point. Track coming in from below from Loira as well. So they've at least got info on where one of these three players is. You can feel that pressure starting to mount, and Secret now are really going to have to pull off something special.
Yeah, they're getting sort of penned tighter and tighter into sight here as the net is brought around them by G2, but 30 seconds left to go. G2 need to make sure that they don't leave this too late. Loira is going to head up green stairs to join the push on Skybridge. Alamau takes a little tickle of damage on the blitz, but not too much. Doom is actually in a key position here. He's got the shotgun in hand and could be a real spoiler if G2 are not aware of his position. Adrian Savage, one apiece. Loira manages to get the trade. Alamau another. It looked like Secret might hold on, but G2 get a key round, securing their first attack. They need to find 3 attacks to go to overtime, and now just 2 more out of 5 will do that job for them.
It is amazing what similarities we're seeing between the two teams on their attacking sides as well, right? Like, I think Secret very smartly read into, we have to play the stall game here. We've got to waste a lot of time. and G2 played the patience game where we've seen them be very quick on previous maps. This one did demand that they go a hell of a lot slower. But by getting that first kill, by then slowly stepping it up from that point and ramping up the pressure, again, this was like the very passive angle from Mowgli being held, just reminding them that he was always going to be there. When that entry came on through, I was like, right, that's it now. They can play 1-for-1. They've got that man advantage. Neither team really lets those kind of rounds slip away from them. G2 have played it incredibly well, showing that, again, they can play that slower, composed style as well. Who's now going to be the one to adapt and do something a little bit different because pressure is back on Secret.
Doki once again just hyping his team up. We've spoken about that role that he plays within the team just to make sure that that energy is up. We've often spoke about energy within teams. You've kind of got to, you know, make sure it doesn't go bubbling over the top, but you've got to have something as well. You don't want, you know, silence on the comms. You want players with a bit of adrenaline in the system. It's that confidence to run through and hit those shots, and that's what Doki's delivering for his team at the minute, really revving them up. G2 in the lead once again. I've got a feeling that we're going to see every bit of layer. I don't think Secret are just going to roll over on the defense. G2 get themselves a good first win. They're now attacking onto basement, but I know that there's going to be opportunities for Secret along the way as well.
All right, well, hopefully June can strike a little bit of fear into the G2 side. Mowgli as well. They've been the ones that have been cooking up a bit of a storm so far. The rest need to sort of play catch up with the rest of them. All the information they need on site itself as well. Alamo in spot. Can't wait to see the set piece play coming out. We speak about the Rao every time we see it. And okay, what ideas have the team got here? What are they trying to lock in? Not an awful lot by the looks of it. Tim is already, they've lost their 2. Make it 3, make it 4. They've just crumbled. Forget about it.
Yeah, Mowgli has dealt with that. It's going to be nowhere to pick up the last. Secret get a flawless round, and as I said, coming into the round, Secret have the ability 100% to really put G2 to the test here. They get themselves, it's an important response. G2 come in with the opening attack and think, right, you know, yeah, we're on the road here. We just need 2 more to guarantee us overtime. 3 more will get us the win, and Secret come in and say, that's fine, but we're going to take one of those 5 chances that you've got away. So now, what does it look like for G2? They need 2 out of 4. That's the situation to get them to overtime. 3 out of 4. 75% of the rounds remaining. G2 need to win if they want to win this in regulation time. Secret on the defense. We would expect that to be more of a possibility for them.
Yeah, G2 kind of showing there as well why going fast probably isn't always the play. Again, whenever I see a Raura, I'm always really interested to see what teams have got in mind, because I shared this stat last week. Right now, Raura has the lowest, of course not helped by G2 in this game, the lowest operator round win rate of any operator in the game. Like, doesn't matter who you can imagine, pick your fringe operators if you want. Raura is currently the absolute lowest. We have seen some really cool executes. I think about the real nice one that Leo illustrated on the basement of Nighthaven Labs about a week or so ago. Really, really cool to see. But those are more the exception than the rule. And so I'm still waiting to see teams really get into the groove of making use of Raura in effective ways. Trying to rush in like they did last round, certainly not a way to make the Raura too effective.
No, you're not going to be, you know, having an opportunity to close off those doorways and get those barricades up and to your advantage if you're going to play it like that. So on to round 9 we go. Secret will continue their defenses. It was emphatic, flawless victory last time around, and they're going to be looking to double down on that. They are in the mid floor this time, just going to close off ops, and they can kind of not forget about that, but they know when the pressure is coming from there. They don't now have to leave a body in there to be watching that specifically. As soon as that barricade gets opened up, then they know they need to start paying attention to that area.
One thing you've heard a few pros speak about a few times is just say, you know, don't sleep on barricades being on doors. Like you said there, the sound that they create, it's almost like having like a leaving view mine roll down a certain place and giving away the sound cues and anything else. Here we go though, Tim, the press on 4 begins. Blitz in and charging, but he hasn't managed to win this out. What is going on? Just looking the wrong way there for a second, expecting to get pressure while the one behind him was flashed out. And that would have been the case, but Blaz is there for the assist. G2 putting in a lot of pressure, but the diffuser is down. They've lost Loira and they've lost Doki. And now they've got to fight over top floor where there are 2 players waiting for them.
Yeah, they tried to make a plant there in all of that chaos, but Secret stood tall and they were composed, managed to see the man and shut that chance down. And now Alamo's got a problem. He's coming up against the Warden, but he manages to win the fight. Gets himself a triple on the blitz. Unbelievable performance, and this might be what G2 needs. Somebody to step up and have those big rounds that we've seen from players like Doki, like Stompen so far through this stage. And this time it's Alamau's turn. 3 huge kills on the blitz. Gets G2 their second attacking round. I said they needed half of the remaining rounds on attack to guarantee overtime, and they've just got one of them. One more guarantees at least overtime for them. They might even have an opportunity to close this out and get that grand final spot.
I so often say that it makes me nervous when teams rely on individuals to go big to win a round, but to be fair to Alamau, we've seen 3 of those from Secret already throughout this game. June 3k in round 3, a 3k in round 6, a Mowgli 3k in round 8. They've had their moments as well, so it was time that someone on G2 donned the hero's cape and got them through a particularly sticky situation. This was really smart for him, by the way, knowing that he's kind of like stalled out for a second, being able to spin away, hoping to get pushed by someone, well, not really hoping, but expecting to get pushed by someone from behind there. Just very, very quick in the moment reaction from Alamau. 2 great kills off the back of a pistol, realizing that he couldn't flash out the Warden, so instead had to rely on a bit of a 2 versus 1 being forced, and the instant spin onto the 3rd man. Real great moment there from him, and it keeps G2 in the lead for now, 5-4.
One of them situations from Alamau, isn't it, where he was kind of like back to the wall and you have absolutely no option other than to put your foot on the wall and just push back. And that's what Alamau did. He just thought, there's nothing else to do here other than take the fights. And he came away with wins. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And it's magical moments like that that make those top names in the game of Siege. So G2 continue attacking. They've gone 2-1 in the first quarter of this second half, if I want to confuse you. But they go for the top floor again. One more gets them onto map point. And then the pressure really starts to mount on Secret.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see if they can get it, or a Secret bring things all the way back up to 5-5, and then we have ourselves seeing all 12 rounds of regulation here on map 3. It'd be a bit of a Designates classic to see it go all the way to OT and all 15 rounds here on map 3. Sadly, there's no bingo card for this one, so looking to strike off. But it does feel like for these 2 teams, they are neck and neck between the 2 of them as to who comes out on top. Loira certainly making a bid, though, to put G2 in the lead here. Adrian going down early, and it's the Warden that falls quickly.
Yeah, G2 definitely just picking up a bit of momentum over the last round or 2, you feel. I think that play from Alamau definitely sending a bit of a message to his teammates, firing them up. And he'll just be pressuring from bathroom window there. Loira not wanting to overcommit himself, just going to hold the angle while the rest of his team now get into position. But it does mean Secret need to be careful about any rotations around that area. They don't want to be losing another life here. That could be catastrophic for them, given that they are 5-4 down and they've lost the Warden again, Des.
Yeah, this time it actually matters as well because there's smokes to play through, right? There's Doki's Capitao, there's Stompin's back pocket smokes. And the flashes, of course, that can rain over from Loira. There's just a number of things here that would have really benefited to have Warden outside that little bit longer. But the pre-fire comes on through and Loira is down. They couldn't see him, but they've still got the kill regardless. Great play by Joom again, carrying on shining throughout this series.
Who needs a Warden? I love that from Joom. As soon as the flashbang came in, he just started firing at the right place. He knew that the jump was going to come through the window. Gets forced out, not ready for the fight. Doki's going to have to run away here. Manages to spin on his heel just as he gets to the door and cuts down Joom with a headshot. 4 versus 2. G2 4 versus 1. They're going to get themselves onto map point. They've come alive on the attack, Des.
Captain Savage has really got to do some magic, but his team's keeper barriers are being used against him. Alamau gets it. G2 a single round away from being our first team in the grand final.
You can see now they know how close this is. G2 carrying some serious momentum through into these last rounds. Secret are going to need 2 back-to-back. They've done it against G2 before. It was on Chalet, not there. When we saw them play earlier in EML, they were 6-4 down. They took it to overtime. G2 won anyway, 8-6. But they have shown Secret the resilience needed over the stage to get themselves through difficult moments, to get themselves out of trouble. And the time is now or never. It doesn't completely count them out of the playoffs, of course. It will just drop them down to the lower bracket. They may still end up in that grand final, but they're just going to have a couple more wins needed in order to do so.
Absolutely. Secret really got to buckle down. And this is where G2 might run out something a little bit crazy, a little bit different. And once again, Tim, we're seeing that Raura make a return alongside potentially the Fuse coming out from Alamau as well. We spoke a lot about Fuse yesterday when we were casting Virtus Pro's game, that of course we see always running the living death out of that. And it really forces teams into a difficult position because you can't really ban away the Fuse because you know they'll just go back to running something like a Blitz. So you know that Fuse is always going to be available to you. So there's very, very low risk in setting up a bunch of strats that employ Fuse as one of the linchpins of that. Whether it's more having the shield on side or having the gadgets, or better yet, both of them, you can pretty much always plan that it's going to be available.
Yeah, I think Fuse is a great operator. I won't say that he's underpicked because I don't think that's quite the case. I think he's still quite niche, but I think he's very valuable. We talk about his gadget particularly and its ability to clear out a lot of utility. If you send that in or around site, you can easily pick up 3 or 4 pieces of utility with it. But it's also great for moving players around, and that's why we see this Fuse being brought along. Clear out utility, move people around, create space. Talking of creating space, Noah creates a little bit of safety as he manages to take down Loira, and that's the Dockerby calls that are gone, Des.
Again, that crucial pairing, the Dockerby as well as the Deimos. Now you've only got one available to you. It certainly diminishes the effectiveness of Doki in the round, of watching get a 3k now as soon as I've said that. But I like how it was aggression coming out of Secret. They aren't willing to sit back and wait for G2 to come to them. They're taking the fight to G2. That's the crucial thing here. They're looking to do the same again here. I think Doki knows, but he's tried to go near left, and no, Savage a little bit closer to home than maybe he expected. A second kill might make it a third here, but has got a shield bearing down on the window. A good trade coming on through. A stomping finds him at long range.
Secret do find themselves losing one body, but it's not going to matter as Mowgli picks up one and is looking for more. Plays a beautiful Kiba barricade, actually, just to buy himself a little bit of time there. Laz tries to get tricky, but is going to be taken down by Mowgli. It's all up for the last kill. Noah is the one to secure it. Alamau taken down, and G2, the Fuse shield not working out for them, and we go to 12.
Alrighty. Overtime could be inbound as long as Secret can pull off a similar round to that one again. And for me, the winning formula was the aggression they were showing. Yes, they lost a player to Stomp in there in the middle. The damage had kind of already been done. They'd put G2 on high alert. They were still stuck outside the building for the most part. It was the early kill that came out of nowhere. This one here that really started to set things wrong, because without the Dockerby, it became very, very difficult for them to hunt down all the roamers. Like, you could see a track on towards the right-hand side. Don't get the right idea. There'll be a second player here looking to use that track as bait, but just goes a little bit too close to home and ultimately pays the price for it. And Mowgli does Mowgli things, as we've seen a million times over by now. Nice little flourish to close things off. Secret with a solid round there, and G2, you've got to be so careful in that early round. That is where Secret are trying to trip. That's where they're trying to disrupt the plan and the flow for the rest of the round. Can't let that happen again.
Big risk for Secret coming up now. They've won 2 rounds on the defense, and both of those have been down in the basement. They've tried to defend this top floor site twice, and they've lost it twice. G2 successful on attack in both rounds 7 and 10 up here on the top floor. It has come with the Blitz being used in both of those rounds, which is now banned out. So, G2, are you able to get this done without a shield? That is going to be the big question that we have to ask. In both of those rounds, G2 got the opening kill. Doki in 7, Loira in 10. So again, something else that they're going to be looking to replicate.
Drone ready.
All right. Trying to find a spot to get this wall opened up. Of course, the jammer is down and impeding him for now. You see this every single time you see players trying to open this wall, by the way. You saw Mowgli doing it back in the first half. You're wondering why. It's pretty obvious. There's a window there. Someone runs into that long, like, highway, as some teams call it. They come onto that window, they spray you down, your hard breach is dead. You can't get mass wall opened up. So you've got to be so careful about what's going on inside of there, which is often why you'll then see, at least in the mid-round, attacking teams try and get control of that highway to ensure that it stays secure, and you can use it for an execute point if you want to.
Alamau's going to head underneath with the Ash, I think, just to try and use that Ash charge to clear out the mute jammers and give access to that mask wall. So G2 not giving up on that breach. I think that information there has probably been relayed. Stompen's applying the exothermic to the wall. Oh no, he hasn't. He's actually pulled away again. So still don't think that this area is clear for him. But there we go. We're going to get the job done. And we should see that wall getting opened up.
Pop it. Just leave it and wait. Obviously, it'd be kind of crazy to think you'd expect to see another mute jammer going down. There we go, now being opened up, but at the same time, so is Doki. Mowgli tearing into shreds. Not the ideal start that you're looking for, given that trajectory we've seen of entry kills leading to round wins. Secret might be able to battle us back to overtime here, Tim.
Mowgli and Juma really fighting their way through this one. 23 kills between the two of them. Doki, a little bit of a quiet game, but the Deimos could be a big loss. A lot of vertical opportunities here on this top floor. If you can get your Deimos in underneath, you can really start to bully those players that are wanting to defend around there. Scalamari manages to find Mowgli. Big loss for Team Secret. He has really been powering them through this with his kills. 4 versus 4. 50 seconds left to go. Vulcan canisters being popped. G2 do not have all the time in the world, and they certainly don't have all the control that they need.
Have some meds control here, though. It's a really good spot to find Lawyer inside of. Like, he gives them a lot of power from that spot. But now it's about pushing on to the rest of the players. It's all well and good controlling most of the top floor. Now you've got to step on forward and be able to bring down those that are still holding around sites itself. Juma's not got a C4 in back pocket, so can't do much from below. Adrian does still, but he is upstairs, so it's about holding down that location, really, and dealing with the onslaught of smokes and flashes that are going to be coming his way. There we go. That's what you want. Finds one and finds two. Adrian might have just kept Secret in this one. Alamau makes it into a double. Not quite down, but it's down to Stompin as the last man to bring down 3. Will find 1 for himself, but with 5 seconds on the clock, Tim, I think it's about time that you stay the line.
We're going to overtime, Des. I think everybody wanted it, and we're going to get it. 3 more rounds between these two on lane. Neither of them able to find separation from the other, and this is turning out to be an all-timer as we expected. We've seen some great siege from both teams through Consulate, Chalet, and now on lane. And honestly, this is anybody's. I'm not sure who is starting on which side, but there is no real advantage. Each half has been 3-3. They've both had good defenses, good attacks. It feels like G2 had some real momentum on that attacking half through the second half of that game, but it just didn't pan out for them in the end.
Didn't probably enough for there, of course, to be this tech pause that we're into now. Because every single player in the lobby, as well as probably the backroom staff, a chance to pause, reflect, think about what happens across these next 3 rounds. Right, it doesn't sound like a big deal right now when you're thinking, okay, it's a spot in the final, another team can still make it there. It's more the cases, as you said at the start of the series, Tim, the one that makes it to the final guarantees at least 150 SI points. Between this, the stage, and of course the major, that will determine whether or not you get to go to Paris in February to try and lift the hammer. And in the form that G2 are in right now especially, I'm pretty sure they fancy the chance at a second hammer. And Secret, after a couple of rocky years, started to hit form last year. And of course, with the change of Mowgli coming in, we've seen them hit a bit of a new high here. That's why they're here as one of our top 2 teams. And for them to go on and have a big performance in Paris would mean a hell of a lot.
Just everybody now with the opportunity to spend a few minutes with their thoughts. Try and keep their focus.
And their water bottle, apparently.
And their water bottle, absolutely. Got to keep hydrated. Got to keep hydrated, Des. 2 most important things.
I'm going to have a little sip myself as well.
Keep yourself hydrated. Keep that breath nice, clean and easy, Des. Nice, clean and easy breathing.
I reckon they find a way to just look at the nose to keep it nice and open. It'll help, I promise.
Oh, right. Well, as soon as we get back onto this one, whoever comes out on the defense, whoever comes out on the attack...
I've got a question for you, Tim.
Go on.
You can keep talking about Siege, I can ask you. Of all the players that you're seeing flash across your screen right now, who do you think would be the best co-gardener?
The best co-gardener?
You want an assistant and you had to pick someone from G2 or from Secret. Who would you pick and why?
I think Lyra might be quite a good gardener. I think we can't really see too much of Lyra, but he's pretty trim as Lyra. He looks after himself. So yeah, I think that Lyra could probably put a shift in. When it comes to guard, I'm thinking of maybe who would be like. Would anybody be particularly creative? Maybe rather than. On the tools, is anybody going to be good with the ideas, coming in with some sort of design methodology for me?
I don't know what the youth of today think about garden design. I'd be curious to know what Stompin's ideas would be. Doki, I think there's a fair reason you swerved Doki. I don't think he'd be the gardening type.
No, I don't think so.
I'll give him 10 minutes to be thinking about his first beer.
Yeah, well, maybe that could be some encouragement, though. You know, maybe.
Hey, Doki, if you spend half an hour in the garden, I'll get you a beer, and then another one after an hour, another one after an hour and a half.
If we get this finished, we can sit down and have a beer in the sun. You know, maybe that'd do the job.
But when we finished, Tim, 8 hours. What?
What?
Nah, he couldn't knack it.
No.
It'd be great entertainment, I'm sure, but I just imagine him moaning the whole 8 hours in the garden.
Hydrating, very important, as we've said. Make sure that you keep on top of that.
Well,
yeah,
I think could be good. I reckon Savage would be pretty good in the garden, you know.
You think?
I reckon he would.
I mean, hang on a minute. Hang on. I need to get my right screen up. Nobody's going to have the stats for me, are they?
What stats you after? Oh, stats, Tim. You're asking the right guy. What do you want?
No, it's not. I've got the stats, but I don't think anybody's.
You're trying
really
to find somebody that's got a lot of plants, right?
Blaz would be great. He's got 6 plants. There we go.
Come from a mile away, honestly. Pitiful.
I don't think it was.
The thing is, though, Tim, I've got a question for you because I want to make sure that you've
got lots of questions for me tonight, Des.
Yeah,
and they all revolve around gardening. I feel like it's you that wants to take it up.
No, this is a really profound question for you now because I'm obviously wanting to make sure that you're always happy and motivated. What comes after gardening?
I've got quite a lot of jobs on at the minute.
What else is on the list of Tim?
I can't keep going over, Des. I cannot keep talking about my DIY jobs.
Tim, this is critical siege lore. We need to know what's on Tim's DIY list.
I'm enjoying learning about all this stuff is the thing as well. This is why I love doing it because I'm very hands-on and I like to be creative. I said this on the other day. I like seeing things change and progress and I like learning things. So like relaying my patio, I've learned how to make cement properly and I've learned how to get it level and do what I like learning the process as well. It's not just about getting the job done. After the garden, I've got a few boring jobs that need doing, just kind of tidying bits up. But the next major project is going to be, it's not really a media wall, but doing kind of similar to a media wall in my living room. So I don't want an actual media wall. I'm not going to put the TV on the wall or anything like that. But I've got some alcoves and I want to put some shelving and cupboards in there. So it's going to be a lot of woodwork again. So I'm hoping the decking's going to kind of prime me for that. And then I can get that in and get some storage because I'm kind of an old media kind of guy, so I've got a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff.
Oh God!
A few in the chat might have to Google what DVDs are now. To be fair,
don't say the phrase VCR and we'll be all right.
No, we'll be fine. But I've got quite a big collection of DVDs and Blu-rays, and I love my films on.
Can I just stress, by the way, we were talking about the game still, and someone in chat popped up. Obviously, we're 4 minutes because of the delay. But Idaho Potato said, "STFU, tell me about your garden." I didn't want to hear about Siege anymore. As soon as we're into a pause, it was
let's go. Yeah, so I've got loads of films and series that you just can't. You can't they maybe just not available on streaming services or whatever. So that's why I keep hold of them. Until we get to a point where everything in the world is magically available. So I keep hold of them and I kind of want somewhere to store them because they're just up in the attic at the minute. So I end up kind of not watching them because they're out of the way. So that's going to be our next. So the garden is an ongoing group project for the Siege community. I feel that it has now been adopted, and our next group project is going to be adding shelving and cupboard storage into my alcoves in my living room.
I see. Lots on the list there, mate. The thing is that what you learn is when you get a house is you'll do what you assume is everything, and then before you know it, there's always something else that comes up that you think, I should do something about that. We've just had our garden done. My garage is next. That should be done in about a month and a half's time. And then yesterday, my missus was like, this part of the kitchen looks a little bit like barren. We should put some shelves there. And I was just like, oh, okay, all right, here we go.
Yeah. There's always something. It's just a treadmill, Des.
You know what I did buy recently, and this is the most Tory thing in the world I'm ever going to share. You've seen it in the group chat, to be fair. A robo vacuum. It is amazing.
I've never.
It is amazing.
Has it been efficient?
It's actually very good, right? So you can set up a schedule and a timer, and you can say what you want it to do at different times of the day. So what I do is Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m. Don't ask me why this day in particular. It does a sweep and a mop. All well and good.
It
Monday night, I make
mops
sure
as well.
it mops. Mate, we are
Good
talking
God.
serious business here. It's well good.
I'd have always been worried about him like getting into the corners and stuff because they're all circle. So
they're genius. Trust me, they're genius. Because what it does, on its front right-hand side, it's not really
You're
a front
getting
right-hand
as
side.
excited as me about my garden.
Yeah. No. Listen, you don't understand how important this is. It has like a little like three-prong like brush on its far right-hand side. If it can't get into a corner, it spins itself round to get that bit in the corner so all the stuff gets brought out. And I thought to myself, it's going to struggle at some point here. It's going to run over a cat toy and break, which to be fair, it kind of did yesterday. It tried to eat Snow's favourite little like starfish toy. And when I came down, the red lights were flashing. I was like, what's happened? Looked underneath and the starfish toy was half lodged inside of the vacuum. And I was like, right, fair enough then. We'll make sure the floor is clear before we go to bed. No problem. But it's done a really good job of being able to drive over, like, you know, like the little scratching post you get for cats that have got like a solid base at the bottom.
Yeah,
it can drive over that. I tell you what, you could put this out there on a dirt rally track. And I'm pretty sure it'd be able to get round. Yeah, it's really impressive.
I've seen those that send like a notification to your phone if they get stuck. So like yours, that when it's got the red lights of doom, it'll like send you a notification saying I'm in peril, so you can like go and find it to assist.
Oh, but it's brilliant. Like every single day at 7:30 a.m, it goes around the living room. It takes about half an hour, and I get downstairs just after 8 o'clock. I've had a shower, making the coffee ready for work, all the rest of it. It's nice and clean because our cats, as you can imagine, they go to the bathroom, and no matter how much we've tried changing the angle of them and everything, they still manage to kick cat litter like everywhere. And so this being able to run around just on coming downstairs and have it all tidy is like absolutely banging. Cannot stress enough how much of a life changer it is.
For anybody joining us and wondering why Des and I are going on a home care podcast at the minute, we just have a slight tech pause going on. The current situation is G2 versus Secret in our upper bracket final. One map apiece. G2 won Consulate and Secret won Chalet. They have come together on layer. We are now heading into overtime. It is 6 apiece. We haven't played any of overtime yet. And just as I say that, as if by magic, we're going to head back on into the game. So tech pause over. I am sure there will be future opportunities for Des and I to discuss our ongoing home projects and gardens and enthrall you all with the details.
You know what? Someone in chat just said Tim should look into ant colony structure and strategies that they use. It's really interesting. That'll be your next research project.
I'll have a read when I go to bed. I did find a couple of ants nests and colonies as I was lifting the patio, but that's a story for another day. Because this one, I can feel now, is going to go clean through to the end for the next 3 rounds, or maybe 2, who knows. G2 are on the defense, so we have had the sides flipped. How do the bans work, you might ask? Well, it just applies the applicable bans from the last time G2 were on defense. So their full 3 bans are automatically chosen based on what their bans were during their last defensive phase. Same for Secret, and they will flip when the sides flip each round as well. So G2, they kick off on the defense. It's been 3-3 on both halves. There's no real advantage for either of these two. It's going to be top floor for G2. Secret actually attacked this a lot better last time, if you remember, Des. They got the wall open a lot easier. They've got the fuse this time, so there's not going to be any playing for Doki. Alongside this wall, they should have no problem getting this open safely.
Shouldn't have any problem with it, Tim, but very much could. And what I like about the lineup, though, is they very much replicated the sort of thing that we saw from G2 back in the first half. A nice read on what might be coming, but they cannot stop this wall being opened up. Absolutely spot on. Even though we only had one thing come on through, it was great. But Juma's gone down in the buck. Not the end of the world, but he now can't get him below and look to do work a little bit later on. They're really trying to deal with all of these fuse charges here. Not let a single one rain on through and clear out things like the Vulcan canisters and the barbed wire that's down, the bulletproofs. They don't want it to go through and destroy that utility, which is why G2 are playing so aggressively onto this breach. And Tim, looking at it, it's not even a complete breach. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's not great. Doki's played that pretty well. His part of it, shooting out the fuse charge. He heard that being applied. He was ready for it coming through, and he's made life difficult for Secret there. So they've definitely got challenges to overcome, especially losing Doom as well. Vulcan canister is going to be popped now. Then pressure mounts as the shield manages to get inside. Stomping does take down Mowgli in a trade. G2 look like they might be able to lock out this first defense. They do still have Savage on that fuse shield. He can start taking a little bit of ground and a little bit of utility away from G2, but he's got fire and flame to work through here as the Secret as a whole, if they want to get this round back out of the window and a little bit of a rethink.
It's again just excellent aggression from G2. Well timed, well understood what you might see from the other side, and they have dealt with everything coming at them. Savage can do nothing but stand there and inhale as fumes from the smoke grenades as G2 go to match and series point.
Let's not forget, though, G2 have already had 2 of those. They've had 2 opportunities, and Secret were able to fight their way back in. G2 now get 2 more opportunities, of course. If they win the next round, they win the whole thing. If they win the round after that, they win the whole thing. So they've given themselves a little bit of breathing space here. Secret, the difference is, last time around, they had to win 2 defenses. They were 6-4 down, and they won 2 defenses. This time, they have to win a defense, but they also have to win an attack. And that could be the problem for them. They're going to have to do it on both sides of the coin if they want that grand final spot. G2, I like what they did there. They controlled the breach well. They then adapted. They knew that they weren't going to push through there. So then it moves on. Where's the next pressure point going to be? Where's the next point of ingress going to be? They were ready for the challenge, stomping onto that bathroom window, recognized the danger and got the kill. It wasn't onto the shield, but it was on to the support for the shield. And it meant that that fuse was just left all alone in there to be bullied by the rest of G2. So again, it was a great trade from Stomping to give his life to take Mowgli out. 7-6, G2 have the advantage, and we go into round 14.
I think, again, the fact that he's coming out with the trade in what was essentially a 3 versus 1 again just shows how good of a player he is. And it's so easy these days to play Stomp, and it's free love in chat, right? It's whatever. But I think more than anything else, again, just showing that a rookie can do this inside his first stage and be playing at this level. In that interview with you, he said, you know, he's got nothing more in his mind than wanting to play on the stage. He's absolutely gagging for it. You're seeing him rise to the occasion here. It's not like he's being carried by his team. He's been doing a wonderful job and been a really big contributor to this team. But I think you can say that about every player on G2. They've all had a wonderful stage overall. We'll, of course, see if it is what gets them over the line here or not. Only that mirror window still in place. Holds on for now by dear life, quite literally. And no! Not like this! How has that happened?
That looks like was it Savage who got? I was going to say it looks like a shotgun blast, but given that he's on the Goyo, it's unlikely. Dorky just rubbing salt in the wound in the old chat as well. Sometimes it's just those mind games that can throw a game one way or another. 5 versus 4. I don't know how that works on the stats, Des. We've spoken so much about the entry kill ending up the team who wins the round, but does it count if it's a team kill? I don't know how that's going to affect things. Secret 4 versus 5, and they've not helped themselves here. They're going to have to hold on.
That just starts to break the game, doesn't it, when you get a team kill entry? It's like, how does it work out? Well, I guess we'll find out when it comes to the end of this round. Vocal coming on through, no mute jammers in which to block those away. G2 can start their move on forward from this one. Another one available in just a few seconds too. They start to kind of set that net around Secret here, Tim. We've got to see them fight back here and push in one direction and get rid of 1 or 2 of these G2 players. Almost managed to get rid of 1, but no. It's Adrian that falls. A 5v3, and surely G2 get us over the line.
Yeah, that's the Warden gone. There is one more Toxic Babe canister left. Savage steps up, manages to get one, gets Secret back into the fight. 3 versus 4. Alamo and Stomping, both low health. Something they need to be aware of. But Lyra, he's going to get inside of the smoke and try to put the diffuser down. And without the Warden, Secret might just have a job stopping this. And they do. It's going to be successful. Lyra, he dips away, gets himself out of there. Stomping taken out by Mowgli. 3 versus 3, but Secret's biggest enemy now. It's the clock, Des.
Feels like the map a little bit as well, Tim. They're literally on the wrong side of things here. The plant has gone down. They've got to scramble to get to it. G2 can afford to sit and wait because by the time Secret even get anywhere near the diffuser, most of this timer is going to have expired. They're in the little rat spots. They're waiting to see where they step across here. They haven't even got time to sit and clear this out. There's players above. There's players outside. It is not looking good. Try as they might. Down on towards Laura, but the kills from the backside. All Mowgli can do here is go for kills to help out his KD. But G2 are not going to give anything to Secret here in overtime. They take the win, take the series, and they move into our grand final.